Cast is sponsored by Great White Hot Sauce. It's a small batch, handmade hot sauce made especially for you. You can find it at www.trygreatwhite.com. It's also sponsored by South Florida Allied Health, located in Boca Raton, Florida, specializing in men's health, women's health, medical weight loss, IV therapy infusion, testosterone therapy, and hormone replacement therapy. Florida residents only.
Well, here we are, episode 106. And on this episode, it's the dynamic duo. Me and Lou. Yeah. The good half of Rage Against the Cafe. Yeah, see how we kind of nudged out Jack and Mark? Yeah, we're good like that. Don't mess with me and Lou. And on this episode, we're going to talk about our 10 favorite Bowie songs and our 10 favorite albums. I know I've done those 80 episodes ago, but I want to get Lou's take on it. And we were supposed to have a top 10 ELO or ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I don't know, it got confusing. Mark Smith ruined everything. So that might not happen. Either way, enjoy the podcast.
The KOFB studio presents Milk Crates and Turntables, a music discussion podcast hosted by Scott McLean. Now, let's talk music. Enjoy the show.
Think you, Amanda, for that wonderful introduction as usual. Welcome to the podcast. Like how I got Lou's theme song, and Lou made that song, and I kind of carry it through now. I used to wait till the song ended, but I like talking over it. Yeah. Kind of adds a little professionalism, which is, I am the furthest thing from that, but I try. Anyways, welcome to the podcast. You know the name, I'm not going to say it. Streaming live right now over YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, D-Live, Facebook, couple pages, couple YouTube channels. Yeah, just doing it all, getting it out there. Building that cult following that I love so much. So, yeah, it's just me and Lou tonight. You know, Jack's Jack now. Jack does things. Yes, he has another life. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. Shows you where his dedication is. Anyways. And Mark Smith, who's usually here, he had a prior appointment, prior plans. And so, you know, it kind of sounds like Lou and I just kind of nudged them out the way they've been going in the last couple of weeks. And without further ado, let me bring on Lou Colicchio from the Music Relish Broadcast, Professor Lou.
Hello, Scott.
Yeah, look at that. Lou's in the brown room tonight.
I'm in the brown room, really. It's either that or it's gray. And Scott, you are a paragon of professional perfectionism.
Whoa, hey, wait, those are some big words, buddy. Don't be. Yeah, you too. All right, that's what I said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you too. Uh-huh.
I'm into alliterations tonight.
Well, good luck with that.
You're my best Spiro Agnew.
Going back into the day. Jesus.
Oh, nattering nabobs of negativism.
That's a bunch of. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
First of all, how's everything with the Music Relish podcast?
We're doing good. We last week we did one of our Music Relish radio shows.
Radio shows, yes.
Yeah, we did 6 songs, pulled some stuff out, and Mark kind of hosted that one a little bit long. Because these songs from Perry and I separately. So we did about an hour. It was interesting to do an hour. You're like, when we're done, we're right. Another 2 hours to go. What's going on there?
You mean I get extra time tonight?
Yeah,
what the hell?
Now what am I going to do? You know?
Yeah. Well, 2-man shows. Me and Mark we can't seem to get under an hour and a half. So I don't think you and I are going to be any different.
I expect to be in bed by 11.
And up at 4:30 or whatever you get up.
5.
5, give or take 30 minutes, right?
4 hours of sleep, yeah.
Yeah. So I did these topics, like I said, literally probably 80 episodes ago. And I'd like to kind of revisit them. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to clean up the library, so to speak, from the older podcasts with the less quality. And really, we didn't know what we were doing.
I can relate big time. I think we all can relate on that.
You guys, I can't hold a candle to what you guys used to do.
It's yeah.
For those that don't know, the Music Relish podcast originated, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lou, they did it by telephone, cell phones.
Rotary phones.
And these are 3-hour podcasts, and they're doing them on the phone. Are you fucking kidding me?
I couldn't listen to it either.
That is some absolute dedication. Now, I listen to it. The quality is fucking horrible. But
you think so, huh?
I know, but I listened because it's amazing that they did this. And at no point during one of these shows, someone say, I'm fucking sick of using the phone.
That was me.
Sick of this shit.
Oh, no, I did.
You did? Oh, okay. All right.
So I got to the point. I said, guys, we got to do something else. And when I moved, especially where I was living before, I was literally in the sticks. I mean,
yeah,
it was like a lifeline, actually. My friends are on the phone, talking about music, talking about things we love.
There's a bear outside my door.
Speaking of which, if I make a side note, my son and I live near hiking trails. My son and I go hiking yesterday, early evening. We got about an hour and a half of daylight. There's a little bamboo forest I like to go to. It's exotic looking. So we get on the trail, big mama bear and a little cub. So my son first, he goes, "Oh shit!" And I said, He looks at me, he goes, "Sorry." I said, "Don't worry about it. It's a friggin' mother bear and a cub. This way we go back the way we came."
Yeah.
But
I went to not to top you, but to compare.
Please.
Myself and my wife, the beautiful Dr. Vera, went to Vero Beach this past weekend.
Oh yeah, right.
And beautiful beach. That is a beach town. It's a quiet, sleepy beach town. Like, I think the CVS closes at like 7:00 or something, right? And we're at the beach, and we're at a part of the beach. It's it's quiet, and you get on the water and then come out. And I'm always hearing these things about, sharks, blah 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 blah. There's a guy who's surf casting, like 30 yards away from us, to our left, and he's in the water up to his waist. He's got 2 lines going, 2 rods going. One's up on the shore, and he's got the other one, and he's working there. And all of a sudden I see the one behind him start tipping, right? Starts tipping really deep, right? And I said, "Oh, he's got something. Let's see if he sees it." Like, I'm not gonna go, "Yo, you fucking line, your line." Oh, somebody see Bob Doucette says, "Is this a music podcast?" Yes, it is, but we gotta wait. It's a live stream too, so we gotta wait for people to come in. So we always get the first couple minutes, although we're 8 minutes in.
We're loosening up here. We got.
All right. Needless to say, the guy caught a nurse shark, probably like a 3-foot nurse shark, and I was just getting, I was just talking shit on Facebook. Sharks. I went back in though. I don't care. He cut it loose. He let it go.
Okay. A nurse shark is okay. A bull shark is not. But
no, bull sharks are nothing. They ain't no joke. So, all right, let's jump right into it for Bob Doucette. Mm-hmm. Pain in the ass. Bob's a good dude.
Have I seen Bob Doucette on here before?
No. Bob is he's an audiophile. Okay. He's got an insane setup. He's got the clips, La Scalas or whatever he has. Yeah, he's got a nice setup.
Right.
And he also has, I have the Life-Size Hulk, and he seemed a little interested in it, and all of a sudden one night he posts on Facebook, he's got the Clips Jubilees. Yeah, those are the
okay.
He's got a life-size, very realistic, almost, it's it's latex of the Joker.
Wow.
The Heath Ledger one. It's pretty cool.
A villain life size.
Yeah.
That says a lot about Bob, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Bob's got a dark side.
It's a unique piece. it's no Hulk, but you know,
No.
it's not.
I've seen the Hulk.
but
I've seen the Hulk.
The Hulk is the real deal.
Hulk is the real deal. We're talking friggin' life size.
It is. It's 8.5 feet tall. It's about 300 pounds.
300 pounds. What is it made of? Like a composite?
No, it's made of a real thick fiberglass.
Okay.
So it's pretty durable.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with.
Scott, are we not talking about ELO song? Because on our thread this morning, that was funny. Mark is like, "F you, ELP is my favorite band." It would have been fun to do it just to spite him.
Oh, you can do it if you got a list. Be my guest.
I don't. I did ELO though. In case you want to touch ELO,
if we get to that point, we can. I was kind of on the fence about it.
That was pretty funny.
I was actually joking with him, and the joke I forgot to go in and say I'm only kidding.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of
I did extra
dragged
homework
out all
for
day. It's all right. We can do it next week.
Sure.
Let me see. What does Mark Town say? Hulk can't play a fucking instrument. No, he can't. He can't. He doesn't have to. He just stomps his foot. So, top 10 favorite Bowie songs. Right? Very interesting list. Now, these aren't necessarily in order.
Yes.
I guess they're maybe somewhat in order, right? But it's hard. Songs like this just jump around so much in your head.
A lot of this stuff does, because it can be an emotional thing where, one time you might like this one more so than other. It switches, but there's I guess a core group, and
yeah,
I'm not the biggest Bowie fan. Like I don't have Bowie albums, but there's songs, so I have a list.
Okay,
but,
yeah. I've been a huge Bowie fan since I was like 9, literally, and I always say that. I look back, that's some advanced music for a 9-year-old.
Sure.
That's where my head was. It was, a bunch of all my friends listening to the Osmond Brothers and the Monkees and shit, and fucking getting hunky dory for my birthday, my 11th birthday. That's the album I wanted, Hunky Dory.
Did you have older siblings?
I did, 2 older siblings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we used to give each other albums for Christmas. Those were our gifts to, but we got to use them.
Oh,
all.
yeah.
So.
Of course.
So let me start off with my number 10, or the 10th, number 10. But it's not necessarily.
Okay.
From Station to Station, right, 1976, Station to Station, TVC-15. That's some funky shit right there.
I don't know it.
Oh, my TVC-15.
Okay, I do.
Oh, TVC-15.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, produced by Bowie and Harry Maslin, right? Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He pops up a couple times in Bowie's.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the thing about Station to Station was he recorded that in L.A., but that really was the prelim to the trilogy in Berlin. Low, Heroes, and Lodger. Right. Those are like a lot of good shit off those albums. But Station to Station kind of set it up. The style that he was really working on. So that would be my number 10, TVC-15 from Station, the 1976 Station to Station album. What do you got?
Let's see. Panic in Detroit.
Yeah, buddy. I got that on my list. How could you not, right?
Yeah. And that's not, as far as his hits go. Like, I'm a singles guy. I mean, I never had a big record collection enough, but the songs you heard, even album cuts you heard on the radio. But that was something I like, the rhythm, the whole thing, great vocal and everything. But
I mean, Panic in Detroit.
What album is it on?
Aladdin Sane.
Aladdin. Okay.
Yeah, from 1973, and that was, and I have that on my list. That was produced by Bowie and Ken Scott.
Okay.
And Ken Scott pops up.
Yes, he does
a lot with not so more than a few in Bowie albums.
Yeah, I think he's done a lot of most likely they've all done other things too, but I think he's not much of an obscurity as you might think.
Well, no, and what Bowie he seemed to keep a small group of producers,
right?
At hand, because you start seeing same ones kind of pop up. Some together, some separate.
Tony Visconti is one.
Oh, he did a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
You bring up Tony Visconti.
The last record too, right?
Yeah, he worked with Bowie for over 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he produced 11 of his 27 studio albums.
Oh shit. Okay.
Right?
That's a working relationship for sure.
That has to be one of the most fruitful producer artist relationships in rock history. I mean, the shit he produced with Bowie is just like crazy.
How many artists besides, or producers besides George Martin have produced 11 albums by one artist?
By one artist.
Yeah.
Bowie knew what he had there. Kind of like I knew with you and Mark. I knew what I had there.
You're like Tony Visconti.
I'm like Tony Visconti. Or I'm like Bowie.
Like Bowie, exactly.
I know who to put around me. But yeah, Tony Visconti is, again, no joke.
Yeah. Well, did he produce, was it Bowie's last album? Was it Black Star?
Dark Star? I'm not sure. He might have. I think he did.
I think he did.
I think he did, yeah.
As nothing else as a tribute to his friend.
Yeah.
You know.
Why wouldn't he?
Some heavy stuff. I've heard quite a few cuts from that.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect him. I think the guy was a genius, a legitimate artistic genius. His sound didn't always appeal to me, but I like a lot of stuff. But like you said, he's one of those people, even if I know people who aren't necessarily fans of him, but they're like, no, this guy was the real friggin' deal. I mean, a true artistic genius, you know?
He was, Bowie was, and we've talked, Jack and I have talked about him, and Bowie was a chameleon. And he knew,
of course.
He saw things that he could, he was basically scrapbooked. He scrapbooked himself. He took a page out of Lou Reed. He took a page out of Iggy Pop, which is really when he started to evolve. And he created this persona. You know, he came to the United States broke, literally broke. But his agent set it up like he was the next, like he was the thing.
It was
right?
a
Ziggy Stardust,
hype machine. Yeah,
they hyped him unbelievably, and they say he was in limos getting dropped off at hotels. They couldn't even pay for those things. But
the gamble paid off.
They made sure the cameras were there, and he had that androgynous look. And it's the early 70s when he really started to take off, and that was that.
There's hype, you know. If the artist can live up to the hype, it's all worth it. Bruce Springsteen, same thing. The cover of Time and Newsweek in one month or 1 week or whatever. Yeah. If he didn't have the goods to back it up, he would have been a flash in the pan. You know, they did that with like the Knack. The Knack were the next Beatles. Remember?
Yep.
The next Beatles, and you know they had another album in them.
Yeah, that was it.
But yeah, whatever. Like even like say like the Bay City Rollers, the next Beatles. You know?
So the 70s, the late 70s into the mid 80s, there was a lot of next Beatles. Sure. Everyone was looking for the next Beatles. They'll never find it.
I got one for you.
What's that?
The Rubinos, Rubinos. I read them in some. I think they were American band. They were like before the Knack, before some of these other things. They were supposed to be the next Beatles.
Is it the Rubinos or the Rubinos?
I think it's the Rubinos. But they probably got something on YouTube. I remember reading about them being like, "Who the hell are these guys?" You know?
Yeah.
Why are they trying to hype them up like that when the Beatles had only been gone for 6 years?
Right. So let me see. Dave Phillips, King of the 45s. Let's put his list up here. He says, "Here's my list." So you're gonna see a lot of the same songs, right? And people's lists. He says it's Changes, Young Americans, China Girl, Let's Dance, Modern Love, Suffragette City, Under Pressure, Heroes, Diamond Dogs, and the Gene Genie. And there's nothing wrong with all of those. My list is a little different. But
you're a fan.
I'm a little deeper. I have been pretty much my whole life, album cuts. Yeah, some deep cuts.
Yep.
That maybe people have heard of. I'm sure they have, or maybe they haven't. But I kind of go, and I have a couple of the, standards. His greatest hits albums. Let's face it. It could arguably be, Changes One Bowie could arguably be the best greatest hits album. You could put that up to Elton John's first greatest hits album.
Sure.
Not the second. The second one was still good, but the first one, there's a few greatest hits albums you like. Just what the fuck?
Elton John had hits. I mean, these things are there's America's Greatest Hits. There's really only about 5 top 40 songs on it, but like Bowie and and things like that. These guys they were smashes. Quality music too. Mm.
And before I forget, my buddy, friend of the show, my brother Phil Kelly. He said, let me see. He sent it in a text, and his text can be erratic sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen.
I think he talks into the text, so it comes across. Sometimes it doesn't really transcribe. So he says, no specific order, right off the top of his head. Aladdin Sane, Cat People, the version with Stevie Ray Vaughan, right? Young Americans, Panic in Detroit. Hello Space Boys, that's an album cut. The version of Your Buddies, I don't know what that means. Blue Jean, like Blue Jean. I like Blue Jean. Actually, that's kind of in my almost made the top 10, but I really do like that song.
I thought it was called Blue Cheese. A friend of mine played on that record.
On Blue Jean?
Yeah, trumpet. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Okay. A neighbor of mine, old neighbor of mine. Yeah.
And he got, let me see. Not on that list, dancing. Not on that list, Dancing in the Street with Mick Jagger. Not on that list.
It's on mine.
He likes the single. There's a single off of Dark Star. He doesn't know the name of it, so it's
Lazarus or something, or
maybe
that was the advanced single, I think.
Yeah. So where were we? Did you just give you? See, I always get.
We just did our 10. That's
our 10. Okay, I'm gonna go to 9. Off of Pinups, 1973's Pinups, which was basically it was very odd. I love the album, but it's a very odd album. Whereas in 73, when he was just really starting to pick up steam, he does a covers album. Pinups is like a covers album, which I thought was like, why would you do that? Just to get stuff out there? Or what's that?
What year was that? Pinups?
73.
Is that when he did the Springsteen cover?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be, yeah. But off of that album, I love his version. It was written by Syd Barrett, and it was produced. The album was produced by Bowie and Ken Scott, right? See Emily Play.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I've heard it.
I love his version of that. I like his version of it better than Pink Floyd's.
Really?
Yeah. But it's a very obscure song. It's very 60s.
Sure. It's that era of Pink Floyd that would have stayed a psychedelic band.
Yeah.
Had Syd Barrett not left,
But
I think they would have been like the Strawberry Alarm Clock, I think, or those other things if they had continued in that vein.
Yeah. So give that a listen when you get a chance. See Emily Play off of Pinups.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
And this is no joke because I really like the song because I really like Christmas Time. The Little Drummer Boy with Bing Crosby. It's low on my list.
No argument.
I love it. I think it's great. And Bowie was a crooner.
Yeah. And
that was no joke when they did that. The Jimmy Fallon skit aside.
Yeah.
But no, I think I happen to love that being a drummer boy. Yeah. But it's one of my favorite Christmas songs, and I think it's great. I listen every year. That's on Christmas time. I look forward to hearing it. So
I think everybody does. So there's no argument.
It was no joke.
Evidently, that song was done in one take.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a live take? That was on like a variety show. It was
on it was Christmas show.
Der Bingle's Christmas show.
Yeah. It was Bing's Christmas show. Yeah.
Mark Flynn.
Let's see what Mark Flynn, the king of Google. Let's see what the king of Google has to say. Mark Flynn loved him at Bing. The skit portion is cringy, but the song amazing. Yeah, he doesn't know who Bowie is, and Bowie doesn't know who he is.
That's right.
Hey, but you know what? It could be cringy, but it was kind of interesting how they said this is how we're going to play this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
2 totally different generations, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
just like when with Elvis and the Beatles, or whenever these other weird matchups get together where it's awkward, but
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think Bowie had a deep respect for Crosby.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure. And I'm sure Bing Crosby didn't really know who he was.
Yeah, who the hell is this guy? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Who's this new young guy in
This
town?
is David Bowie.
Ah, jeez. No penalty box tonight, Lou. It's off limits.
That was my first Durbingo, man. It wasn't Michael McDonald doing Durbingo.
That's true. That's true.
Come on, man. Cut me some slack. There's only two of us, you know. You're flying solo if you put me in the penalty box. No, you've done it before.
Right. No, I know, but no, I won't do that. So my number 10, my 8th song is off of Diamond Dogs, but I love the version. I love the version of David live at the Tower in Philadelphia. I mean, that album was not recorded well, the recording, but I loved it. I fucking loved it. I wore the grooves out on that album. And the live version, and I like the studio version, but the live version of Cracked Actor is fucking great on that song.
Aladdin Sane?
On that, no, it's I think that was on Aladdin Sane. Okay. Was it? Yeah. What did I say? Diamond Dogs?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Off of that live album, though, that version, I fucking love it.
Cool.
I love it. Again, they've remastered that thing a couple of times to try to, but when I first listened to it, I didn't care. The quality was not a big deal to me.
The performance.
Yeah, he was in the middle of switching over from Ziggy Stardust, kind of getting out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And crossing over into the Young Americans, the Thin White Duke.
My favorite.
Oh, the Blue Eyed Soul, actually. Blue Eyed Soul. I think
yeah.
calling it.
That's my favorite period.
Yeah. Yep. So, Cracked Actor, great version awesome. on I actually saw him do it, which I thought was fantastic when we saw him live in Sullivan Stadium. It was an amazing show, and the people that I know that we all went. I think Mark Talent was probably there. It was pouring rain all day, pouring. We had trash bags like as raincoats, and kind of moving through the crowd, and we're all on the field on the floor. And right before he comes out, like see the sun start to come in. A helicopter comes in, right, and all of a sudden the fucking sun just stops raining. It was like God came into the stadium. Right. I am not making this up. It was like God came into the stadium. Right?
That's great. It just cleared everything up.
It cleared up, and then when he came on, it didn't rain for the rest of the night.
It's wild.
It was a great show. It was a Let's Dance tour, right? Serious Moonlight tour. That's the name of it.
Great name for a tour, though.
Yeah. And he did Cracked Actor, and he had the giant rolling skull come out on stage, and yeah, it was a fantastic show. It's one of those shows that it was so good that I never really tried to go see him again. Okay.
Because you peaked.
It was so good. It was so fucking good. He did all his hits. You know, and so Let's Dance was a huge album.
Was that 83?
It's like 83, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a comeback album.
Yeah, it was a launch pad is what it was again. Yeah,
I mean, I liked a lot of that stuff on that.
Yeah.
I think was it Bernard Edwards, or was that who produced that?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Bernard. It was one of the two guys from Chic.
Nile Rodgers?
Nile Rodgers, maybe.
Nile Rodgers did it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's who it was.
With the late, great Tony Thompson on drums.
Yeah, that's right.
That was good.
Stevie Ray Vaughan on guitar.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which launched his career.
Yep, exactly.
Tom Benwald, friend of Mark Smith's. Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah.
Lou Thomas.
What do you got next?
Okay. Suffragette City.
Yeah.
Great rock and roll song.
Yeah.
You know, it was all over the radio in the cities, but you know, that classic line, wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're in high school, you know, those were our years for hearing that. But now, was that the album that he played most of the guitars on?
Oh, he played a lot of instruments.
I know.
He played saxophone. He played guitar. He played keyboards. I mean, Bowie played a lot of instruments.
Yeah. But on one album, he played almost all the guitar.
Right.
Except for, I mean, maybe Mick Ronson might have played a couple of parts on some. Maybe that might have been Rebel, maybe.
Well,
That's not even on my list. I forgot about
Mick Ronson was with him for a while.
Yeah.
He was with him for a while. So I'm not sure when he split off, when Bowie just started doing his, really kind of got. Mick Ronson was like with Spiders from Mars.
Yeah, I think so.
That's when.
So after that glam period, he was probably,
And they come in and they'll do studio stuff. But Mick Ronson had his own solo career launched from Bowie, from being in Spiders from Mars.
Yep.
It was mediocre, but people knew who he was.
Could he sing? That's these guitar players that go solo. Mick Taylor from the Stones, the best guitar player they ever had. That's their best period with Mick Ronson.
Yeah.
But when guys like that go solo, you got Mick Jagger, you got a front man, like, the guitar, they have to play guitar-based music, and you have vocals, it's like you can only be so much as far as the rock and roll world goes. You'll be on bills with other bands and stuff, but you're never going to be like a rise to the top. That's why there's a Bowie and a Mick Jagger, and these guys that were unique vocalists.
So
we were talking about Eric Johnson with Mark last week, and I asked Mark, I said, well, his career kind of stalled. I said, could he sing?
Yeah.
He goes, not bad. So, you're not going to be in the rock and roll world. You'll be in the blues world or the blues rock world and the touring circuits. But, what can you expect from your great talents as a guitar player? You're not, unless you got a great front man with you. Carlos Santana always had great front men.
And you have that so you have Johnny Marr with the Smiths, who I always reference, of course.
Right.
I remember seeing him on one of these late night shows, and he kicks in the riff of How Soon Is Now, and then he tried to sing it. Emphasis on the word tried.
There you go.
Really, only Morrissey can sing that song. I've heard other cover versions of it, but Johnny Marr trying to sing How Soon Is Now, or really any Smith song, since Morrissey's voice it was an instrument in itself in that band.
Unique sound, yeah.
Yes, and that was part of the sound. So when he tries to, okay, I'm going to go out on tour, I have a half rights to this song, right?
Yeah.
One of the greatest guitar licks in the history of music, arguably. But then the guitarist tries to sing that lead singer's. You know who gets away with it is Noel Gallagher gets away with it.
Yes, he does.
He gets away with it because they sound similar.
Yeah, they're brothers. They have, brothers have a tendency to sound alike. The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees,
those guys, their voices blended like no other.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, man.
So let me see. Next one, I had Panic in Detroit. Did you know? So Panic in Detroit is off Aladdin Sane, right? We told you Bowie and Ken Smith produced it. So actually, Bowie described how he came up with the character. And of course, it's a pun. The name is a pun on Aladdin Insane, right? Mm-hmm. So he kind of said it's like Ziggy Stardust Goes to America. That's how Aladdin Sane was created. Did you know that the cover artwork, featuring the lightning bolt going across his face, was the most expensive album cover ever made at the time?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. But just the way it was designed, maybe. Maybe it was a very unique picture, right?
Yeah. So with graphic arts, maybe there was a certain production thing they had to do.
Yeah.
Perry and I worked in graphic arts in the late 80s. The way they do covers, like we did magazine production, the color layer, there's many, many different ways to burn these things. It's very complicated. It's all computerized now, of course, but back in the early 70s, it was probably a pretty laborious process to get that lightning bolt across his face.
With the colors.
With the colors, yeah.
The colors in it.
He's only have 4 colors in printing, it's a certain thing, but interesting.
So there's a kid in my neighborhood. His mom is a realtor, and we became friends with her. She actually was the one that got us this house called Casa McVera 2.0.
Excellent.
So her oldest son, probably in his mid-20s now, maybe late 20s, maybe 4 years ago. Well, 4 years ago, she was, her and my wife were hanging out, and she mentions her son, and he's in the spectrum. And they didn't know this. They just found this out like within the last 6 months of when this was story I'm telling you happened. And she said he's like this really amazing artist. And I met the kid, right? And he's right around high end spectrum to middle. Like he's just on that cusp, middle to high, right? He's functional, can talk to you, have conversation, but there's limitations. But this kid has a talent like I've never seen, right? This kid, his mom told me this. She told us this. He's an artist and he draws these pictures, but he doesn't draw the pictures. He uses numbers and letters to do the picture. Numbers and letters, right? Wow. So I said, wow, do you think he could do something? I asked him to. So the kid comes over, just lives down the street. So he's probably, 20 at the time, 21. And he sees my album collection and he's like this generation of kids that just got back into vinyl.
Yeah.
And he happened to like Santana. So I was like, hey, I can't stand the guy. I don't like his music.
You don't? Okay.
So I gave him a Santana album, but I said, can you do an album cover for me? He said, sure, I'll do it. Which one do you want? And I gave him Aladdin Sane. I said, can you do this album cover in the way you do things? He said, yeah. Like about, I don't know, it took like maybe 3 months, 2.5, 3 months. And his mom calls my wife and says, it's done. So it's on regular stock, like, card stock.
Yeah, drawing paper kind of thing, right?
Well, yeah, it's heavy though.
Yeah.
It's heavy. And he did the album cover. He used the lyrics to every song.
Shit.
To fucking do this.
That's wild.
Like if you put a magnifying glass in a certain spot, you'll see the lyrics, and he does all the filling. I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please.
Right? And like the hair is, every line is lyrics. It's fucking amazing.
That's very original.
It's unbelievable. Like, how do you do that?
How do you write that small? Or what kind of tools what kind of pens or whatever he's using to do it? It's an ink drawing, or is it?
It's pencil.
It's pencil.
It's pencil. Yeah, it's just regular, or dark pencil. Maybe it's not pen. I know it's not that.
Yeah, a certain pencil that probably won't smudge. It's a drawing pencil.
I don't know. It's amazing though.
Wow.
The lightning bolt lyrics, right? I don't think he filled anything with just shade.
Okay.
There might be 1 or 2 spots that he shaded. But I was like, are you? And I didn't even know. Like, I think I gave him like $200 or something.
Nice.
He didn't want any money. He's like, can I keep the album? I was like, fuck, I got another one.
That's great.
I got another one. Don't worry.
You got an album and a couple $100 for that.
Yeah.
Well, it took him a couple months. I mean,
this thing is amazing. And I have it around my album collection, but I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah, please.
The lyrics.
That's great.
To every song on that album is the picture.
I wonder if he did it in like a certain sequence. I mean, how many songs are on the album? I mean, at least 10.
Yeah.
So the lyrics to all these things, like
maybe he repeated lyrics. I don't know.
Wow.
Like you'll see if you look close enough, you see like it says D do 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 D do do do. Like that must have been part of the lyrics in one of the songs that he heard.
Well, there's nonverbal parts or whatever.
Because he asked me, does this have lyrics? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, the lyric sheet is right here. He did, and I didn't know he was going to do that. I thought he was just going to, I know he writes in numbers and letters, so I just figured, he's going to do it in that style. But to take the lyrics and in his brain, work this out to make the album cover.
Yeah. So he probably, once you're doing it, you're absorbing the lyrics mentally, subconsciously.
Yeah.
So, wow. I mean, that just shows, that, say this delicately, but that part of the spectrum, that enabled him, that's part of who he is. and enabled. That's his creativity is coming out through that. I hope he does well with it.
I don't know what he was doing. Like I haven't seen him or talked to him in a couple of years. They're right down the street. You know, life goes on. And
sure.
But you know, I don't know if he took that and used it or what. But it's something that he'll never stop doing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know. So where were we? So I had said Panic in Detroit, right? But we already had that one.
Yes.
So let me move on to from 1971's Hunky Dory album, produced by Bowie and Ken Scott, who engineered before this his previous two albums, Space Oddity and The Man Who Sold the World.
Oh, so he went from engineer to producer.
Yeah.
Co-producer.
That's why. So that's why I saw him later on, right? He produced, what did I say? See Emily Play on Pinups.
Right.
Produced that, right? So Life on Mars, great song. Right? Great song. It's actually a great TV series also. It was on BBC. They did an American version that was fucking horrible. As usual, America ruins everything that they steal from BBC. But the series, Life on... What's that?
We make it our own.
Oh, do they ever? Yeah. But the series on BBC, and it might be on one of these streaming services, Life on Mars. It's an amazing show. The way it was written, how it was, the concept of it. A detective, a cop gets hit by a car, and the last song he heard was Life on Mars on his radio. He was next to his car. Next thing you know, the dude wakes up in like 1982 as a cop in London. And it's just totally like, oh shit.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not like Puchinsky.
What's that?
You know, Peter Boyle, the actor, was.
Oh yeah.
If you go to YouTube, he did a pilot for a show. Of course, he plays a cop that gets killed in the line of duty and comes back as like a bulldog or something.
Oh,
it's one of those things you're like, what the hell were they thinking? It sounds like something that might have been an English show, but we took it and just ran with it. But it was truly god awful.
So, did you ever watch the TV show when it was good, American Horror Story?
No.
Okay, so American Horror Story, every season it would be a different storyline, but they use the same actors, right, from the season before. So I think the fourth season was American Horror Story Carnival, and it was about, it's kind of loosely based on the movie. What was the movie with the freak? It was called Freaks.
Oh, okay.
Black and white, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
The pinheads where those critters were,
and they were all in it. They were all in this season. Jessica Lange, right, does this version of Life on Mars. And the way they kind of put it together, now this took place in the 40s, but she's singing Life on Mars in the 40s.
Okay.
At a carnival show, right? And she had on the powder blue suit. Like if you watch the video for Life on Mars, she has the red hair, powder blue suit, kind of pancake face, exactly like Bowie. But it's 1940. If you didn't know, because I'm looking, I go, wait a minute, they're mimicking the video.
Right.
So they're trying to say that Bowie, like in that universe, in the American Horror Story universe, Bowie stole the shit from her.
Right. From the 40s.
Right? From in the 40s, being a carnival act. It's fucking brilliant.
Interesting.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And you could probably see that video, Jessica Lange, American Horror Story, Life on Mars. You see that video and you watch both of them and you'd be like, wow, that was pretty fucking clever.
Interesting. Yeah.
The director was very clever how they did that. And if you didn't know, if you've never seen that video, then you would just think that's something that she's wearing.
Right.
So it's one of those, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So Life on Mars, great song, great BBC TV show, and a great version that by Jessica Lange on American Horror Story Carnival.
Jessica Lange, of all people.
You know what? Jessica Lange was not, she was still a good looking woman.
Oh, sure.
You know, she was hitting her beyond her peak. She had
Sure.
already peaked, but she kind of stayed. She kept herself together.
Like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Jessica Lange kept herself together, man.
I like
kind of an
that.
older cougar, but hey, listen, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I like the 1976 King Kong.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges and her. It's good.
Yep.
And Charles Grodin, I think.
Charles Grodin. Yeah.
The late great Charles Grodin.
Yeah. So what do you got?
Okay, I got so you and I did mention Blue Jean though, but someone.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, that's something too. I like that song. It's just a great rock pop single. Nothing super serious or very deep. The lyrics are kind of weird. Just almost like something Mick Jagger would write. She's got Latin roots. She's got turned up nose. It just kind of, but it's got a great feel. I like the guitar on it.
And the saxophone.
The saxophones. I think that's a guy named Stan Harrison.
Right.
When I lived in New Jersey at one point, the guy lived downstairs from me was a trumpet player for the Conan O'Brien show. He's one of the Max Weinberg Sevens. It was Mark Pender. So he played on that session, and I think the guy named Stan Harrison played on it too. Mark said Bowie was the ultimate consummate gentleman professional. I mean, came in cool as shit. Everyone was well taken care of. The sessions are top notch professional food. Like he took care of these players. Everyone, he knows what he wanted. You're in there to work, you get it done. But he said total class act all the way.
Yeah.
Or whatever kind of artist giant he was at that point. And that's in the 80s, mid 80s, I think, probably 83, 84.
Well, no. he was just cool. Right?
Yeah, super cool. Like that's the whole thing. Extremely cool.
Well,
came in, did his track, but the guys, I don't know who produced that, but they got it done. I don't think it was a belabored session either. I don't think he put a lot of time into that, whatever album that's on. But I thought that was a great, maybe like a throwaway for Bowie, really. But just
it was a hit, and the video was pretty funny.
Friggin' song. I don't remember the video.
He's in a nightclub, and he plays two parts. He's the entertainer.
Yes,
and then he's the guy that comes in, the nerdy guy, the goofy guy with the Band-Aid on his nose.
That's right. That's funny.
Knocking the drink over, trying to be smooth with the girl.
Kind of like Ray Davies in one Kinks video. It might have been "Come Dancing."
Right. Yes.
He's playing. He's got the fake mustache, like the Latin lover type. Just very cool.
One thing, Bowie, he loved throwing that saxophone in there. You hear a lot of it on Young American.
Oh, right? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Cracked Actor starts off with a saxophone intro. He always had that sax in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It became kind of part of his sound.
Yeah. And as much as the sax became a big part of like rock and roll, late 70s on, I mean, we on Music Relish, we did a show on the saxophone, how it's thing through rock and roll, and how it got almost like overused at one point, like in 1979. Like think of Al Stewart's Time Passages. It's just, yeah. And even Hear the Cat. I mean, Bruce Springsteen, but like many songs.
Clarence was a whole another level of saxophone.
Oh yeah, the big man. Yeah, I used to kind of like say, okay, he's a good rock and roll sax player. He's a good rock and roll, but I heard a live version. It might have been it might have been the intro. He did something before Jungle Land.
Jungle Land is the greatest sax solo in the history of music,
and if not just rock and roll, I mean,
in the history of music.
Some Charlie Parker fans might beg to differ about it,
and that's jazz, and that's fine. But overall, you listen to that. If you want to say rock and roll, then we'll stick with rock and roll. But
yeah, I agree.
One of it is the greatest sax solo on Jungle Land.
It's the whole second half of that song.
Yeah,
it just takes over, and that's probably the longest song on the record, I'm sure. Yeah.
He wouldn't play that. He wouldn't play that song after Clarence Clemens passed away. Wouldn't do it, right? Wouldn't do it live.
Not even with Clarence's nephew on sax.
That's when he did do it.
Okay.
He finally gave him.
He kept it in the family.
He kept it. If he was playing, but he wouldn't do it. Then finally, he gave him the tilt of the hat.
Yeah.
And he said, "All right, make your uncle proud."
Yeah.
And he did it.
In the Food Town supermarket in Seabright, New Jersey, my mother had Clarence Clemens followed my mom around, asking her out.
Really?
Yes, because my sister, late sister Karen and Max Weinberg were a couple for the beginning, like Born to Run years. They were and so my mom got to meet some of the guys. I didn't meet anybody except for Max. But she said one time she goes, Clarence. He knew who she was. He knew she was Karen's mother, my mother. So he was just following her around there, flirting with her the whole time in the supermarket. I could just picture my mom being like, "Stop that!" Just got this big dude saying, "I'm going to take
the big
out,
man,
the big man, doing take your mom out."
He gets mentioned in 10th Avenue Freeze Up.
That's right. That's right.
And the big man joined the band.
Yep. Scooter and the big man bust the city in half with a 10th Avenue Freeze Up. Great horn section on that song too.
Absolutely.
Do you know the story behind that?
10th Avenue Freeze Up?
How the horns came about?
No, but I do know that they asked him what the song was about, and he said, "I have no idea."
No idea. He said some shit together.
It just sounded like something good to say.
Right. Well, Steve Van Zandt was not really in the band officially at that point. They were having a hard time with the horn section, so Steve Van Zandt was in the booth. He's like, "Just let me go and do it." Yeah, I could picture him. There you go, do it. He went in and just hummed out the parts. Boom, boom, boom. Got the whole thing done. The whole horn section got done.
I don't know if you're looking at the comment on the screen.
Your mother should have hit.
What the?
That's so wrong, man. That is so wrong.
It says your mother should have hit it.
Mom, Mark, come on, man. Maybe she did, Well, that's my mom. She was divorced. She was divorced at that time. I mean,
Your mom, maybe she did. Oh, good Lord.
My mom passed away in 2009.
God bless her. God rest her soul.
Yeah, no, she would she would say Lewis. She would laugh at that comment.
Yeah. Sure. But the fact you said maybe she did.
Maybe she did. I mean,
Oh, Lou.
My mom was an adult. I'm going to get you for that, Mark Flynn. I know a guy. I got some reach. I know some people.
That's unbelievable. This show always takes a fucking left turn somewhere.
Yeah.
We were going so smooth. We were just staying on track. We were staying.
He made a mother comment. A mother comment.
That's what you get from a cult following, my friend.
He won't give up. Look what he did again. He just won't.
They have no filters.
My God. God bless her. But
God bless her. But according to Lou, maybe she didn't.
Maybe she didn't. Oh, this is getting bad. That's getting bad.
I'm not even.
That's it.
What is it with the Marks tonight? Mark Flynn and Mark Talent. What the fuck, gentlemen?
Can you erase that? Can they go in the penalty box?
I'm going to get rid of that.
You click on their name and
I can't get rid of it. It won't let me get rid of it.
Block them. Mark Smith is no better. You're not here to defend yourself, Mark, but screw it. Mark Smith is here. Scott, check it out. Oh, my God. Oh, that's scary.
Mark's just gone on. Did someone get Caesar Colicchio angry? Caesar Colicchio. He called you. He called you Caesar Colicchio earlier in our text message. He called me what did he say? El Jefe, El Honcho, El Head Honcho.
It's funny we just mentioned Mark and he pops up.
Oh, fucking Mark Smith, Mark Talent, and Mark Flynn. Fuck the three of you.
You got the triumvirate of suck right there.
The triangle of suck.
God, no, except for Mark.
The triangle of suck.
I gotta apologize to Mark Smith because he's a friend and partner.
Triangle of suck.
It's an isosceles. It's an equal triangle of suck. Isosceles suck.
Mark Flynn, Mark Smith, and Mark Talent. The triangle of suck.
Mother joke. Mamma mia.
I'm fucking dying here.
Mi su madre.
Oh my God. I
we just got to shut the fuck up from Mark. What's his name? Mark No Talent?
Mark Talent said shut the fuck up.
No Talent.
He's the one that called last week. Dude's blowing the stick, dude. I'm blowing a stick in the parking lot.
That's right. Oh my God.
Oh, okay. All right, we got
having an absent
one. Oh,
more for this. That went totally south.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know where we were.
My mother should have hit it hard.
Oh, that started it off. There we go. Okay. Now Mark Talent said to Lou Reed, wrong show, bro. Wrong show.
He's trying to make up for it now.
He's
It's
trying
not
to
happening.
make up for it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The triangle of suck. I'm never gonna forget that one.
There you go.
That was
There you
great.
go. Thank you.
That was great. See, Mark Smith doesn't make the crowd laugh like that. Okay, where were we? All right, did I leave off or did you leave off?
I think it was me. I did a Blue Jean.
You did Blue Jean. Okay, so I'm going to go with from 1977, a song co-written by Brian Eno, and the album Heroes, produced by Bowie and Tony Visconti. The song Heroes, of course, has to be on the list, right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And that was from Heroes. It was the way. Did you ever see the story on how they recorded that?
No.
So they're in the studio, and I think that was let me see, that was part of the Berlin session, the Berlin trilogy, Heroes. So what they did was they put a microphone in a room, and then they put a microphone about 30 feet from that, and another microphone about 30 feet from that.
Wow.
And then he stood about 10 feet from the microphone.
It's a big room.
Yeah, it was a big studio. So it probably ran maybe not 30 feet, maybe 20, but he had 3 mics in a row. And he would kind of yell, that whole, and that's how there's a little sound in there. It sounds like an echo.
Okay.
Right? There's a little reverb in there.
Because of mic placement.
Because of the mic placement. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool
Yeah.
technique.
It was very unique. It's kind of like when Led Zeppelin set up the drums in that castle.
Yep.
In the hallway, in the front hallway, with the echo chamber kind of going up.
Yeah, that's right.
Up, right.
I love that stuff because you can
They put
capture all
mics
that
up
stuff
there.
digitally now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it's still like the spontaneous creativity of doing that. A lot of stuff they came up with on the spot.
Innovators. They had to be innovators to be different.
Yep.
Right.
It's too easy now, man.
It is.
Push of a
It
button,
is.
But
Now you got. You know what? Now you have Paul McCartney just finished a Beatles song that John Lennon they got off a cassette, and he finished it with AI.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds good, but it's really like AI is even lazier than loops.
Right.
If somebody knows how to use it, it's like, okay, I'll pull it. You tell the AI, get rid of the piano, pull out the voice, and that's what it does. So, I mean, where are we going with this? I like technology in music. I mean, we all know that, I think.
Yeah.
I like the synths. I love that whole aspect, how that came into play. And,
I don't want to hear a new album by John Lennon, though.
It's a Beatles song. They're going to release it as a Beatles song.
But if they can take that and just find ways to...
It sounded good from what I heard. Yeah. It was a pretty good song.
What time frame was that song from?
So I'm not even gonna guess, but it was later. It was definitely later.
Okay.
Yeah, it was toward the end of them recording anything.
Okay.
That's what it was. And
now was the AI used to finish like vocals? They took a sample. They take a sample of what he did before, and that's how they.
I don't know how they did it, but they took that
and make new words. I mean, are there all new lyrics?
No, it's the same lyrics. It was a demo tape, but it was kind of raw. And so what McCartney did, from what I understand, is they pulled the voice out. Then they did the music maybe again, which you can do today.
Yeah.
And recreate whatever beat they had going or whatever music behind the lyrics. But it's the vocal part that is really the most important thing. Well, Lennon's dead, right?
Yeah. And
so if you get AI to regenerate his voice, well, where are you going to go with that?
Yeah. But is it regenerating? This is where I'm kind of ignorant. So can they take can Paul McCartney write a new set of lyrics for a new song, and they can have John Lennon's AI voice sing it? Is that
I'm sure they can.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can. That's why they don't know. AI is, Elon Musk has been saying it for 2 years. Most dangerous thing to not just the United States, but to civilization is AI.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
And the one guy, I forgot his name, whatever, one of the original companies, he said the same thing. He's like, it could lead to the extinction of the human race.
Well, isn't that, sometimes life imitates art?
Mm-hmm.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Rise of the Machines. Yeah, Ultron. Hey, listen, we're not going to see it in our lifetime, but we might see some aspect of it.
Sure. Yeah.
We're already seeing it.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, given our lifespans, hopefully they're long, but will happen in the next 10, 20 years too with that.
Yeah. So what do you got?
Okay. Let's see. Golden years.
Nice.
That's my favorite period. I think those are the Carlos Alomar years, I think, on guitar.
Yeah.
His white, blue-eyed soul.
Yeah.
Kind of funk. I saw him at that point. He was on, I think it was the Mike Douglas show.
Yeah.
Or like Merv Griffin or
Isn't
something
that
like
crazy?
that. Yeah, I know. Like at that time, I'm thinking, what's Bowie doing with this gold geezer, his fuddy-duddy, whatever, But then, it was Mike Douglas, I think it was, he was talking about, because John Lennon and Yoko were on the Mike Douglas show, remember?
Well, those shows were big, remember? Those they dominated the afternoons.
They really did. I mean, they were legit. That's what we had.
A lot of audience.
Mike Douglas goes, what do you think is the secret to your success of this album? He goes, my drummer. And Bowie's smoking. He's smoking on stage.
Smoking. Yeah.
And he goes, my drummer.
Yeah.
It was pretty much almost an all-black band, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, Carlos Alomar, I think he's Hispanic, but brown skinned man. But the drummer is definitely black. I think a lot of the musicians were. I don't know who are the bass players on these things. We know the guitar players, Mick Ronson, Carlos Alomar, but the other musicians, I don't think they were very well known. But the drumming on that, it's some really good, solid groove funk drumming. Good. I mean, and the sound too. Even the sounds at that period, I really like the production sounds. It's really warm. The drums are really low and meaty and wood. They sound like wood, really low. The toms are pitched really low, but it's such a great groove sound.
Well, there was some great studio musicians back then too.
Oh yeah, yep.
Classic studio musicians.
Yeah,
I saw him on Soul Train.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I saw him sing "Fame" on Soul Train.
Lip syncing, probably, or no?
Of course, they all
did.
Yeah,
and Soul Train. Yeah.
I saw Elton John on Soul Train.
Damn. With Don Cornelius.
So I used to watch Soul Train. Evidently.
Oh yeah, Soul Train was Saturday. It was Saturday early.
Saturdays, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soul Train.
Yeah. That's we could do a whole show on that. On Soul Train.
We should do a whole weekend show on all those weekend rock shows.
All right.
Don Kirshner, the Midnight Special. I mean,
why don't we talk about it next week?
Why don't we do it?
Yeah, sounds good.
I love it. You remember those shows too? I mean,
absolutely.
Late night Friday and Saturday night. Whatever you did the rest of your night. Bedtime. I was me and my brother shared a room. My younger brother. We had that. We got a TV when we were in high school in our bedroom.
You know what I'll do? I'll put it out on Facebook and I'll just ask who has memories of what was their favorite maybe band that they saw on one of those late night shows.
Yeah.
I'll word it in a way where it makes sense to people.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, they show those promo videos too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, they had like early music videos before MTV.
Yep. So we'll do that next week. That's a good topic. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I'm going to go with an album cut. Actually, my next two are album cuts. And both of them off of 1975's Young Americans, produced by
Tony Visconti.
Yeah, Tony Visconti, Bowie, and Harry Maslin, who I mentioned earlier.
Right.
The song is called Right. Right. And that's off of Young Americans. And I'm just going to jump into the next one. I'll jump ahead one because Win off of that album is also a great song. I like Win. Win is probably my favorite song off that album. Yeah, Luther Vandross on that album, as everybody knows. Singing background. Yeah. He's in the videos too.
As Eddie Murphy said, that big Kentucky Fried Chicken eating motherfucker.
Yeah. That was Fat Luther.
The women love Luther.
Hey, listen, I loved Luther. I got to see Luther and what's her name? Anita Baker at the Boston Gardens. Yeah, they didn't like each other, evidently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They definitely stayed on different sides of the arena.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ego going around there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, man, I used to work K9 security at the Boston Gardens, so I could get into concerts when I wasn't working, right? And I got me and three of my friends in. and we were probably some of the only white guys in the building, right? It's a big show. It was a big show, but I'll tell you what, that was the fucking best dressed group of people I've ever seen at a concert.
Really?
I'll tell you what, man, they showed out in some fucking style. And we're wearing like t-shirts and jeans.
Security guys, you know.
Nah, we weren't. I knew the security who was working. That's why I got to get in for free.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got a couple of my buddies in for free. And then we went backstage. And I think one of my friends, Joe McDonald, stole a box of t-shirts from backstage. We had the run of the place. We could do whatever we wanted. And but the concert was fucking great. And Luther was great. That was Fat Luther.
Yeah.
Then he turned into Skinny Luther. And it just didn't really.
It's not the same?
Just didn't look the same. Like Fat Luther better. And then he died.
Felt it out. Did he? Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh. When was that?
Luther died in the, let me see. Do a real quick check. I'm going to say maybe late 90s.
Okay.
Maybe. Let's see. Luther Vandross. That's why I named my sandwich that I eat after Thanksgiving. The Luther. Because only Luther Vandross, Fat Luther, would eat a sandwich like that.
Not even Fat Elvis would eat that.
Nah.
Not even with bacon and butter and peanut butter on it.
All right. He did. It wasn't late 90s. He died early 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty young. Well,
Yeah. He died of, let's see. It's probably a heart attack, illness and death, diabetes.
Oh.
He had diabetes, hypertension.
Like Billy Preston.
Let me see, at age 54, heart attack, like I thought.
Oh, wow.
54.
Fuck that.
Fucking Luther.
Damn.
What the fuck?
Young.
Yeah. Too young for such a talent, a big voice.
Yeah.
Big voice. But yeah, he got his start. He was one of the background singers on Young Americans.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I got right and I got win off of and you're gonna hear Young Americans again the next segment. So
yes. Okay.
What do you got?
I've got let's see. Fame. Hello? Your mic is out.
Yeah, I just shut it off because I'm coughing.
Oh, yeah, you did the same thing.
So just keep talking. Don't worry about it.
Fame. Always like that song. I mean, I know John Lennon's on it. I think that's from the same era. My favorite era. Is that from the Young Americans album?
Yes.
Okay. Those sound effects, you wouldn't do that now. Fame, speeding up and slowing down the tape. By today's standards, that's like really, really primitive, but I think it was a cool day. It was kind of a one-off thing. And, that period of John Lennon's thing, he was kind of phasing in out of music at that point, I think. What year did Young Americans come out? Was that 75?
Young Americans came out in 70, I think it was 73 or 74, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was that time when Lennon, after 75, he didn't do anything for 5 years.
75. Came out in 75. I'm sorry.
Okay. So that's at the beginning, right before he just kind of walked away from music.
Right.
And it's just great. I like the guitars. If you listen to the guitars in that, REM copied that on Radio Song from Out of Time.
Ah.
It's that it's got kind of a funk.
Yeah.
So when I heard REM's, it's not the same song, obviously, but I heard that was kind of reminiscent of Fame by Bowie.
Right.
But same thing. Great drum sound.
All right.
I like the groove of that song. I like the way the guitars sound, and
all right, give me another one.
My top is Young Americans.
Young Americans.
You like it? Doon, 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 boom, 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 boom. Just the simple drum fill, but it just sounds so fucking good.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know who sang backup on that. I love the backups. Real
that
soulful.
Was again, Luther was part of that. There was some women, some women in Luther. Yeah. Where you can see it in the studio. There's a video. I believe it's It's either Young Americans of Fame, and they're in the studio recording it, and you see Luther and the girls, and kind of they're actually in the video for a second here and there,
cool.
in and out of the video. Yeah, you're like, hey, that's fucking Luther.
Was he fat, Luther?
He was getting big, Luther. He was getting big.
He wasn't
Luther.
quite big Kentucky Fried Chicken eating motherfucker, Luther.
Nah, he wasn't fat and comfortable, Luther. At that point, he was getting there. He was almost fat, Luther.
We say that respectfully.
Oh no, come on! Everybody knows that. Listen, there's
absolutely.
two Luthers. That's all there is to it. There's fat
yeah.
Luther and there's skinny Luther.
Just like Elvis.
Yeah, and everybody thought Luther had AIDS.
Oh, really?
That was the big deal. That was the big thing.
It was probably because of diabetes that he
Probably
lost weight.
diabetes, and he went on some diabetes medicine, and who knows? And they
He's
have to
probably
really
trying to get
control your
healthy.
diet. Yeah. And that's what he was doing, and then died.
Yeah. Well, they did it with Michael Stipe too. Michael Stipe had no weight to lose.
Right.
Like in the early '90s, they're like, all the rumors flew around, and the thing was, he was just a skinny dude.
Yeah, he's just a tiny dude,
Tiny little fry, yeah.
like a fucking bobblehead. I'll finish it off with my last two, and one would be Diamond Dogs from 1974.
Yes.
The song Diamond Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Great song.
Yeah.
Tells a great story. The song leading up to it, what's the fucking name of it? It basically talks about the apocalypse. Fleas the size of rats suck on rats the size of cats, and 10,000 humanoids roam about the land. Future Earth or something like that is the lead up to Diamond Dogs.
Okay.
And that's when he starts with this ain't rock and roll, this is genocide. And then it goes into Diamond Dogs. He screams out, this ain't rock and roll, this is genocide.
Yeah.
But he's from a distance, right? You can hear him just yelling, but it's clear as day. And then it goes into, and then I'm going to go again with an album cut. This is a great video. It was on the radio. It should be on the radio more. Like Panic in Detroit should definitely be on the radio more.
Yeah.
It really should. But it's not. And I say this song from the larger album, again from the Berlin trilogy, 79, produced by Bowie and Tony Visconti, was DJ.
I am the DJ.
Yep. I am what I play.
That's on Lodger?
That's on Lodger, yeah.
I thought that was later.
No, that's on Lodger, yeah.
Cool song, man.
So think about that, right? You thought it was later. That's how that whole the shit that he was doing in Berlin was so ahead of itself.
I thought it was on Scary Monsters.
No, and it all started with Station to Station.
Mm-hmm,
he started getting this, like, he's really going to hone in on this sound. And he wasn't anybody. He was the Thin White Duke, but he didn't really have a persona during these movies, during these albums.
So perhaps he referenced, and say Station to Station. He might have. Let's go back to.
Well, he kept improving on what he had started.
On what he had started, yeah.
Yeah, when they went to Berlin and recorded those 3 albums. Yeah. And Low was one of the albums. Now, the story I heard was him and Nick Lowe had some sort of friendly rivalry, maybe. I don't think Bowie had any rivalries. Oh, well, Morrissey didn't particularly like Bowie. That's for damn sure.
Really?
Yeah, you know what they were doing when Morrissey was huge, when he first left the Smiths. So we're going back to like 91. And Morrissey was opening up for Bowie. First, whatever. He did like 3 or 4 shows. And Bowie saw that Morrissey had a fucking huge following. And evidently, as Morrissey will tell you, Bowie didn't particularly like that too much. Okay. So Bowie came up with this idea. He said, how's this? Your last song, I'll come out and you'll sing the first half, then I'll sing the second half, and you just kind of, stage, and I'll pick up the show from there. Now, Morrissey's nobody's fucking fool.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, what? Because Morrissey himself is a prima donna. Right? Sure. So he knows what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah.
Bowie's slighting him. Mm-hmm. Bowie is like not giving him his moment to his people.
Yeah.
To walk off the stage.
His last moment, he's got to share it.
Yeah. he doesn't want that because who knows what happened before that? Maybe people started leaving because they only wanted to see Morrissey.
Right.
Right.
So
Very
they're going to stay. They're going to stay to see Bowie get on, and
some will stay. Some will stay to see Bowie, but you got the Morrissey fans that just wanted to see Morrissey. Right. Again, very rabid fan base, especially back then. He was really on top of the world.
You know, I do a Morrissey impersonation.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not going to do it.
I would definitely put you in the fucking
I'm not doing it.
So
when there's more people here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Okay, so you're going to spend your time in the penalty box?
Yeah,
okay. So evidently, Morrissey was like, you know what? I will not do that again. And I'm fucking leaving. I'm leaving the tour. Fuck you.
Wow. Oh, really?
And they were like, why? You know, the press asked why. He said, because I will not kneel at the altar of Bowie. Well, I refuse to kneel at the altar of Bowie.
Good for him then.
Oh, no. Yeah, he knew.
I mean, that's pretty dicky and douchey of Bowie to be like, you know.
And that's what Morrissey was saying.
Another diva, too. I mean, come on.
And he liked Bowie. Like, he was very honored to be on the tour with him.
I would think so. So many musicians, English musicians, you know, Bowie's, you know, he's one of those, became one of those elder statesmen, but he was someone to look up to and, you know, inspired a lot of people. I mean, Duran Duran.
Yeah.
You know, Roxy Music. I mean, whomever, but.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Mark Talent says, fuck Morrissey. First of all, I say, fuck you, Mark Talent, right? And second of all, fuck Gene Simmons. How's that? Fuck Paul Stanley. How's that, Mark Talent?
You know, Mark Smith does a great Gene Simmons impersonation. When he cannot laugh through it, he does really good Gene Simmons.
Okay, we'll get him on. We'll get him to do it. Next week will be impersonation night, too.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it. That's our top 10, right? Where are we at? An hour 16?
You know we didn't mention? Nobody mentioned Rebel Rebel, I don't think.
Well, I mean, so let's not stop here then. We're not going to go on with more songs, but so isn't that the thing? This was our favorite top 10.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean we don't like the other songs. Mm-hmm. This was a list that I would put together if I was going to do a mixtape. Mm-hmm. Right. Rebel Rebel, you hear it all the time.
Yes.
You know, Fame, you really hear it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever hear the version Fame 90 that he did? He redid it.
He redid it. I might have, but I'm not sure.
It's very funky, more up to date, little more faster pace.
Okay.
I liked it, just like I liked the Police doing that remake of "Don't Stand So Close to Me."
I
actually like that.
Did we talk about that last week? We didn't get to it. We did not get to it.
No, we'll talk about it. Mark Smith had something to say about that, so we'll do that next week.
I re-listened to it and got a different perspective on it than I did in 1986.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's not bad. I did not mind it, but we'll talk about it with Mark Smith.
Okay.
Suzanne McPhail, go Trump. Okay. That's my other show. That's my other live stream. Trump 2024. All right, we're kind of crossing out. No politics on this show. No politics. Unless I'm throwing something in Jack's face.
We've heard that a few times.
And makes Mark Smith a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Wait, there he
Not
goes
so much
again.
uncomfortable, but he goes,
there he goes again. He's doing it again.
He's doing it again. Like when I dogged Rolling Stone magazine, he goes, I subscribe to Rolling Stone magazine. He does, yeah. And he actually held up the fucking recent issue of Rolling Stone. Oh boy.
I want you to know nothing offends me.
I wouldn't think so. Listen. After what we went through about 20 minutes ago with your mom and fucking Clarence Clemens,
that was close. That was really close.
I think I'm pretty sure you can take a lot.
You can't hurt me.
You can't hurt me.
Fucking Teflon.
But dude, the fact that you said maybe she did
oh, God.
was fucking. Dude, that was great. That's classic.
Can you not picture your parents having sex?
No, I don't want to. No. Anyways. Anyway.
So much for Bowie.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Bowie, a lot of great Bowie. I don't think anything is wrong. right? There's no wrong answers in this.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that you're going to say that I'm going to say, nah, that song sucks.
Right. I don't know I don't know any people who think Bowie sucks. You know, I'm not a rabid. I'm not a fan. Maybe I will be if I listen to more of these. I'm listening to some of these cuts that you mentioned. But like I said, what I like. I mean, and I can see why I like it. I can see what he did that was just different from everybody else. I mean, that's who else? That's a unique sound. He did it. You know, I said unique artistry. I mean, no matter. I give that to ABBA. You know, I'm not a big fan, or anyone who's that. Queen. I'm not the biggest fan of Queen.
No.
But I gotta say, who else sounded like them? Nobody.
You know, Jack had a good observation. We were talking last week, and he said, you know, everybody's all caught up in Queen and Queen this and Queen that. By the time Queen was kind of finishing up, they weren't really as popular as they used to be. The legend of Freddie Mercury overshadows the fact that Queen was not. They weren't like on top of the world from start to finish.
Right.
Everybody wants to think that. And that was a great observation on Jack's point.
Okay.
You know, they weren't of the rest of the world, maybe. But in America, they were just kind of in there.
Right.
Queen was just in there. They weren't
by the early 90s.
Yeah. Even in the 80s, they were in there, but they weren't where the Rolling Stones are. They weren't where Led Zeppelin was. They weren't where the Beatles were. They weren't where the Doors were. You know, as far as what we grew up listening to. Queen was in the top 10, but people forget at the end of the 80s, they weren't really that popular. They weren't really that big anymore.
Yeah. And I think Mark mentioned they did a video that was kind of controversial and lost them a lot of fans. I don't know if it's not a part with, like, you know, Billy Squires' career ending video or we should mention Bowie Jagger dancing in the streets. So, you know,
we'll say that song sucks. But whose song is that? Is it Bowie's or is it Jagger's?
It's Martha and the Vandellas, if you ask me.
But I'm saying, like, if you were going to give one of those artists, like, who's the lead on that one, right?
That was a duopoly of suck.
They both point the finger at the other. No, that was his song.
I didn't do it.
That's his song, not my song.
I didn't leap through the air. Did you leap through the air? That was broadcast during Live Aid, wasn't it?
Let's see. Mark Smith says, yeah, it was. It was actually shown repetitively at Live Aid, and it was horrible. Yeah, people, I think, were booing it because it wasn't lined up. There was a second delay on the video. It was all new technology.
Oh, okay.
And so it didn't line up, and the fans were just fucking booing it, I guess, from what I understand.
They were booing it anyway.
Mark Smith. What's that?
How come Zeke Schmidt isn't logging on?
It's okay. He's going to sit back. He's taking the total night off, which is fine.
Night off.
Yeah.
But he's monitoring the class as
But see, Lou, that's your dedication.
You know, I don't miss school. I don't miss work.
All right, buddy.
I waited through oceans of diarrhea to go to work.
So Mark Smith, friend of the show, says Brian May and Roger Taylor did a masterful job of making Queen legendary after Freddie died. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But when he was still alive and before he got sick, they were just kind of in there. They weren't kings of the world or queens of the world, you know?
Can I chime in with a little Roger Taylor comment?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yesterday when my son and I were hiking, I asked him about music that he's listening to, any kind of new stuff. He's listening to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Who's that?
My son.
Nice.
I thought I said, Scott, you're going to go see Nick Cave up in New York, or did you do it already?
No, I'm going to see him in Boston in October.
September?
I was going to see, starts off in Asheville, though.
That's right. So, well, maybe if I can get a ticket, I'll take Louis to see it. You know, he's 17.
Yeah, you might want to jump on that because, again, he has that kind of fan base, too.
Yeah. But I said, well, what do you think of Queen? He goes, I like him enough, but he's not a big fan of Roger Taylor or Roger Taylor's drum sound. So Mark could go on about the way the drum sounds were produced and stuff like that. And I was surprised. I said, my son, well, good for you. I said, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, you're branching out.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Certainly is. He's not with the Bad Seeds, though. He's with, he has, what's his name? Mark Green. I fucking forget his name, from Radiohead. The guitarist from Radiohead is on tour playing with him. It's not with the Bad Seeds. Still, I want to see him.
Okay.
I'm not going to turn down a chance to see him. Let me see. Mark Smith says, I didn't take a day off to move boxes of wine around a fucking house. Okay.
Oh.
Whatever the fuck that means.
I think that's a dig on my job.
Oh.
I'm also a sales consultant, Mark.
Oh,
it's getting there. You drink that yellowtail with that. What do you call it?
That armadillo tail wine.
Armadillo tail.
Armadillo tail.
You want some Australian wine, Mark? I'll send you some Australian wine. It'll knock your socks off.
There you go. All right, let's jump into 10 favorite albums.
10 favorite albums.
Yeah, 10 favorite albums. Doesn't mean they're the greatest albums ever made. Doesn't mean they have to be legendary. These are your favorite albums. And kind of a little descriptor as to why.
Okay.
And any, quick info you can give on it.
Sure.
So give me, and these aren't in any particular order.
May I preface, because you are an album collector.
Yeah.
You're an album collector.
Yeah.
I'm a singles guy, so I love the stuff we talked about. And sometimes, like you mentioned things to me, like these Bowie songs. I heard them, I don't know them stuff. So, but my albums, based upon singles I've heard.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Cool. So we got 10 up. Camper von Beethoven, Key Lime Pie.
Wow.
Late 80s. It was something where, I was once that whole early 80s indie rock thing came in. I loved it because, music got to me a little too much big business to me for a while. And the indie bands, some were just kind of marginally talented. If you look at as far as talent, virtuosity versus how you can write a song and play. We mentioned the Replacements, how they weren't really a good band, really, to think about it. But they had songs, they had a thing though. But Campervan was a band I liked them early on because they were quirky, almost like surfy, punky.
I haven't heard them mentioned in a long time, buddy.
Oh yeah, and that's the last show Perry and I saw together at the old the new Ritz in New York. But it was on that tour for the album Key Lime Pie. But it was this album. It was a turning point because I liked a lot of the alternative rock, but I thought some of the players that really weren't that great musicians, and I always aspired to be more of a player. So that was an album. It was almost like alternative indie rock prog, where they really went. I turned Mark onto it. It was a total different thing. I said it showed that you can be a sort of a not a big band, not a super successful band, but you can actually be a player. And the musicians in this band they're stellar. Great stuff. The songs were great. The subject matter, the lyrics. David Lowery, he went on to be in the band Cracker. Great lyric writer. Cracker was much more straight ahead, almost like country rock, indie, country, cow punk, whatever. But this album, the songwriting was great. The instrumentation. This is something where I'm like, every song I wore that album out. But it was a nice thing because it let you know that you could actually, be a player. None of the Replacements could play in Camper von Beethoven. They couldn't cut it. The drummer could not cut it. So that was something where I said, okay, this is something where the music's quirky. There's something there. A catchy song is a catchy song, but I just thought overall it was just a great production, great record. I think it was great for music overall.
All right. Yeah, they had a little run, late 80s.
Yeah,
like
they did. Yeah, not a big one. They've carried on. They regrouped. Once Cracker came, Camper von Beethoven regrouped for a classic album. Was in New Roman Times, I think, somewhere in the mid '90s, I think. But a great band. They've kind of disappeared, but
right.
Maybe we'll hear from them again.
All right.
They might still be around. Who knows?
I'll start off with a lot of people already know this. Sinead O'Connor's debut album, The Lion and the Cobra, came out in November 87, right? She recorded that album when she was like 7 months pregnant. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the title track is actually from Psalm 91:13, where it says, you will tread upon the lion and the cobra. And there's a track on there called Never Get Old. Now, this is what I call a perfect album. And a perfect album to me is every song on it, you can listen to it from start to finish. Yeah. And every song is good.
Yeah.
Right. And I've heard fucking thousands of albums in my life. And very few stand out to where I can listen to them all the way through.
All the way through. Yeah. You get 5 songs that you like sometimes, right?
Like you said, you might get one song and you buy the album.
Yeah.
10cc, that album that had I'm Not in Love on it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe did they sing The Things You Do for Love?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Maybe that was on that album also, but that probably was it.
Yeah.
But I bought the album. you know. But so the track Never Get Old, it opens with this beautiful but dark Gaelic recital of Psalm 91, and it's by Enya.
Okay.
You know who Enya is?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oracle Flow. She's from Clonard, that family.
Another Irish person. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, it's very haunting. And it was, I don't know who produced it. Some Irish guy produced it. But it's really a fucking great album from start to finish. If you've never listened to it, really, really, it's one of the things I recommend listening to that album.
Her voice stood out.
She was so good, man.
Yeah.
She was so fucking good. Just like, and then she just, unfortunately, was bipolar.
Oh my God. I mean,
schizophrenic, and it just really.
Unless any read from her, she was living in a halfway house in New Jersey.
She's had a hard life.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Hard
I think
life.
her son might, I don't know, her son's got some issue. I mean,
I think he committed suicide.
He might have, yeah. I mean, the article I read, I mean, it was really sad. It was just, I mean, obviously a bring down, but
she had it.
I don't know where
she
she
had
is
it
now.
all. And you know what? If she did what she did, again, a girl that was ahead of her time, when she tore up a picture of the Pope, that was back then. It was like, what? That was the downfall of her career, right?
Yeah, especially in America.
She didn't care. She stood her ground, and she's made her statement. If she did that today, she'd be a fucking global icon to the crazy fucking, the leftists, and she'd be a Twitter queen.
Or anyone who's anti-organized religion.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I didn't particularly agree with what she did, but
well, my problem is, I don't recognize non-Italian popes. So that was Pope John Paul II. So I don't give a shit. All right, we killed the Italians killed Christ. The papacy is ours.
Wow. Wow.
So
we just learned something about Lou.
Pope Francis is okay. He's Argentinian, but he's really Italian. So Pope Francis, he's all right. He's all right. He's all right.
Let me see. Mark Talon says Uncle Cracker. I guess that he was wasn't Uncle Cracker with Kid Rock.
They're in the same camp.
Yeah, they were friends or something. Kid Rock gave him a big boost.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
AI alert. AI alert. AI alert.
Oh, AI, Perry Denovich. I actually talked to AI the other night.
I heard.
We had a good conversation.
But it's computer generated. He really wasn't answering.
But I'm telling you, dude, I was talking to him.
It's almost real.
It fucking glitched a couple times. I swear. He glitched a couple times. Like whoever's controlling the Perry Denovich AI, they need to kind of work on their they got to work on the delivery. Because I was telling you, he goes, Scott.
And
yeah.
I agree with him about English Settlement by XTC though.
Okay, yeah. XTC, very different band, man. Different band. Dave Phillips says, "Who's next?" Right. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Trick of the Light. Love that fucking song. Love that song. Let's see. Did you give me one?
I did Camera von Beethoven. That was
what's your next one?
Next one is I kind of going bottom up. Sinatra the Reprise years.
Oh, nice, dude. God.
Yeah. I'm a fan. Nelson Riddle, that was the apex of Sinatra's talent, the songwriting, the recordings themselves are great, but he was at the top. It was a masterclass in big band, torch singing vocal technique. I mean, incomparable, nobody better, in my opinion. Not just mine. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree with that, but that was the cream of the crop, and that was his record label. He started Reprise Records.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. That was his. He was a good businessman. He owned a big Budweiser distributorship in California at the time of his death. He should have done Bud commercials. You know,
should have done Bud commercials. I could see that.
King
I
of beers,
see him
baby.
doing that. Yeah.
Let
me see. I'm going to say. See, where is it? I'm looking for the album. I don't want to get. What's his album? Four Seasons?
What, Sinatra?
Yeah.
Ooh, which one? I mean,
it's the Seasons. The one that has When I Was 17. September of My Years. I think.
It's on the Reprise collection. I don't know if that what particular album that was from prior to that, but
September of My Years. I think that's the album, dude. That album. If I was going to pick a Sinatra album, it would be that one. Because that, again, start to finish.
Okay, and I mean that song alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what I don't know who wrote that.
I don't know. It's fucking brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
They absolutely nail it.
Yeah. They used it on an episode of The Sopranos.
Yes, they did.
Very, very poignant.
Yes. I'm going to say this one. This is kind of off the beaten path a bit. The name of the album is To Be True. Came out in 1975. And it was produced by Gamble and Huff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Philly Soul.
Yep. They invented Philly Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Gamble and Huff created basically.
They wrote
Philly
it
Soul.
and produced it. And
this band, this album, perfect album, great song start to finish. To Be True by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Yeah. With the late, great Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Teddy. I know it's a weird story in the end, but Teddy.
Really? Tell me.
Well, yeah, he got in a car accident. He got crippled, but he was in with.
That's right. He was paralyzed.
Yeah, and he was with a transvestite.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I mean that his whole.
So was Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, but Teddy was like the ladies.
Yeah.
Like he was way beyond Eddie Murphy, and the ladies loved Teddy.
Yeah. Maybe it was a tuck back. He didn't know.
I don't know.
You
But
never
it didn't
know.
look good.
Yeah.
It just
And
didn't look
He was
good.
also paralyzed.
Yeah. But Teddy, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, that album, To Be True, great. Perfect album, start to finish.
You know what year that came out?
Came out 75.
Okay.
Yeah, 75. That's about when that sound, the 70s, is really when it took off.
Sure. A lot of strings.
The Philly sound, yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a while to appreciate the Philly sound. I do like more like the Motown Detroit. But the Philly sound was a little slicker.
Yes.
But
good way to
still,
put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the Spinners. I mean, if you want to go to the opposite end, like Blue Eyed Soul, Hall & Oates, about right Philly soul.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the Hooters.
Hooters. And we danced. All you zombies.
All You
Listen,
Zombies.
the Hooters had some good songs, man.
All You Zombies is a good song.
Yeah. They had like 3 good hits off that out, and then they just kind of
That stupid fucking name killed him a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, listen, the Goo Goo Dolls are still around, so I don't know how much a name holds.
I am shocked. I thought they split up in '97.
Nah, they still pump it out. They had that,
Every song sounds the same. I'm sorry,
I
I
know.
can't tell what. I saw a good meme. It was the Goo Goo Dolls were playing. They were covering every song by the Gin Blossoms, and nobody noticed.
That's a good one. That's right.
It's like
That's right.
it's not the same band, you know.
Yeah. The Gin Blossoms. I like the Gin Blossoms.
They had a couple good tunes.
Well, they were doing well. The guitarist wrote all the songs, and then he killed himself.
Yes, I heard they bought his royalties away from him first.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Cold.
Yeah.
The Biz.
But they never did anything with it.
They never did anything after that.
They never did anything after that.
No.
You
But,
can't replace that talent.
Nope. And was it Till I Find a Way? That was written by Marshall Crenshaw.
We mentioned him last week too.
That's right. He's Jack mentioned he's singing for the Smithereens.
That's right. That's what it was.
I could do that gig.
Yeah.
That should be my gig.
Hey, go get it.
I want to audition with the Smithereens.
Go get it. Who do I need to call?
Call somebody.
Call somebody.
Actually, it's funny. I have friends that know the group. I said they use their studio to do their pre-production work.
Right.
Actually, get rid of Marshall Crenshaw. Put an unknown older person.
All right, give me an album.
All right. This was a big one for me. Being There by Wilco. Kind of that old country thing gone to another extreme. Their first album was more like a real rock and roll kind of. It was old country, but not as sophisticated, not as expansive. But that Being There was a double record, and a friend of mine had it, my old drummer, and I listened to that. I said, "Boy, that's another one I wore the hell out of it." And it lets you know that it's kind of cool bands like that. When you get the right combination of people, you don't have to be the greatest singer, greatest guitar player, but this was a real good band that really did what they did together. They were good players, but there were no virtuosos in the band.
Yeah.
But the songwriting was great. And I think at that time too, that was a great time for that genre. I think, it's like had a touch of country, but this was something else. They showed them almost a more compositional, expansive compositional thing where they did a big leap from the first album to the second album. I mean, worlds apart. And after that second album, they just kind of went on and on and on. And they've been around for like 25 years now. You know, I've kind of lost touch with them, but that was something where that grabbed me. You know, it had an impact.
Right.
Some great songs in there too.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with from 2002. Nico Case, Blacklisted. Fucking great album. Do you ever listen to her?
I have, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, what a voice. Like how she didn't really, well, she has her following. And she has,
yeah.
But that album, Blacklisted, it's a fucking great album.
I think artists like, they can't go, they'll always be niche-y.
Yeah.
You know, I think for them to be, you know, Sinead O'Connor had a certain thing where her music had that big scope to it where you could get a hit song on the radio about that, but Nico Case is just, it's different.
She started with the New Pornographers. That was the name of the band she started with. Yeah. Then she went off on her own, but she just has a fucking great voice. It's that song is the album has a has a very dark feel to it, but it's really well written, well produced. It just has it. You know what? It's an album that has, you feel it. You feel it. You know what I mean? It has a lot of. It's hard to really explain, but it's not country. You know, it's not pop. Right. It's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
You know, you might listen to it and go, "That's country," but it's not really.
It falls into with that old they call it old country, where it's got elements of that. There's some twang, reverby kind of, but it's got more of a dreamy aspect to it.
Give it a listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Blacklisted, Nico Case.
I'd have to listen to an album because I've heard individual tracks.
Yeah, listen to the album, and it's one of those albums, start to finish.
What's the album called again?
Blacklisted. Yeah, great album. A nice listening. It's not hard. It's not heavy. It's not, you know, it's something you put on in the car if you want, or you fucking sit back on a Saturday night. Grab a fucking a beer or a wine or a whiskey. It goes with any of it.
Excellent.
It really does go with any of it. And just listen to fucking turn it up and listen to a really fucking nice album.
Cool. All right.
You know, and it brings you, has different levels to it. It's not like a steady, like say a Tom Waits album or, you know, anything like that where it's just steady across. It's kind of takes you on a little bit of a ride.
Cool. Okay.
But her voice is pure. No doubt about that. What do you got?
I got going back old one. The band's second album. The band. It's a Desert Island album. It's just another one. I love every song except for one. In retrospect, doesn't really kind of cut it for me, but it's a thing where it was the beginning of I think that album pretty much coined the term Americana before it was Americana. I think a lot of what became Americana was so heavily influenced by that record, and wasn't a big seller. It didn't sound good on the radio. It was very bassy. If you hear like Up on Cripple Creek, it sounds like a home recording in a lot of ways. You know, they didn't mix it to be like a mass big thing, but it was a homegrown record. They recorded in a studio where they rented Sammy Davis Jr.'s house, turned the pool house room into a studio. They boxed the windows out. They did a total DIY recording like that, you know, using a different budget. You know, they were on Capitol Records, but some classic songs, the night they dribbled Dixie down. Up on Cripple Creek is on there. A couple other ones. Across the Great Divide. For band fans, that is the album too. And every band fan I know says that's the top 5 album that they would bring on. You know, the so-called Desert Island disc. You know,
right.
But you know, it's also known as the Brown album. But it influenced so many other groups and musicians. When Clapton wanted to quit Blind Faith or whatever he was doing to join the band, he asked them to join. When their first 2 records came out, he's like, just let me play in your band.
Really?
Yeah. And even the Beatles in their Let It Be period, if you look at the way they dressed, they were dressed in this sort of like almost country rural thing. But I do think George Harrison hung out with them around that time. So, and Joan Baez did a bad version of The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. You probably it was probably,
yeah.
It got more radio play initially than their version.
I agree. It's I'm not a big Joan Baez fan.
I mean that folk element, I don't really know much. I know about her more than I've heard her music and stuff. But yeah, I do think that they were very influential on me. And Levon Helm was my favorite all-around musician of all time.
Yeah.
So and that was
they were all talented. That was like a perfect band.
They were crazy talented. Garth Hudson, I still think, is the best keyboardist ever in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Much more than a rock and roll keyboard player. Rick Danko was a funky ass bass player.
Yeah.
They had 3 great singers. I mean, that's my idea of a true band where, if you're a frontman that can carry like a Mick Jagger, a David Bowie to be the only singer, if you got that, you got that. But the band had 3 people that did that. And
right.
Just a great unit too. And great songwriting too. What people say, whatever you say about Robbie Robertson, in his heyday, the guy wrote some really, really amazing music.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that album. That's a classic album.
It'll always be a favorite of mine.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 2008's, again, kind of off the beaten path. And I like female singers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Jessica Lee Mayfield, Blasphemy, So Heartfelt. Heartfelt.
Don't know her.
It's a great album.
What's the name again?
With Blasphemy, So Heartfelt. One word.
And what was the girl's name?
Jessica Lee Mayfield.
Where'd you hear her?
I heard her in 2008, and of all fucking places, dude. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was out with my first wife, God rest her soul. We were doing something, and I was listening to Prairie Home Companion.
Oh, okay. Garrison Keillor.
Yeah. Who got canceled. He was one of the original victims of cancel culture.
That's right. People forgot about that.
Yeah, they fucked him over. And I heard this girl singing, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? I'd never heard a voice like that before. And it was natural. And she's playing her guitar. And I was like, I got to find this. I got to find it. And I downloaded the album. I was like, holy shit. This is a fucking great album. It's not what it's kind of country. It's produced by, I think, Dan Auerbach.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's from the Black Keys.
Right. Yep.
Right. And they play on it too. A couple will play on it. So if he invested in her.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Then he saw the talent.
Mm-hmm.
She never really took it. She's still around, but she never really took off, But that album, I just listened to some of her newest stuff, and it's still good. But her style is not pop. It's not going to make it. You know what I mean? So she has, as I say, the cult following.
Yeah.
But great album. If you've never heard it, I'm going to tell you to listen to all these. But these are the ones that are kind of off the beaten path albums.
Sure.
The other ones you've heard of, I'm sure.
A cult following is not a bad thing to have because you can do what you want to do.
What's that?
A cult following is not a bad thing to have because,
right.
you can do the music you want to do without too much interference, I think. People say, if you had one hit, record companies want you to produce another hit to keep that thing going.
She wrote that album with her brother. Like in their house. The family was kind of musicians.
Okay.
And her and her brother put that album. Then Dan Auerbach heard the demo, and he was like, whoa.
Let's go
to get her in the fucking studio.
Yeah.
Let's get this done. And he's stuck with her still. I think he produced, he produced a couple more of her albums, and helped her and probably helped write and stuck with it, So with Blasphemy, So Heartfelt, Jessica Lee Mayfield.
Cool. 2008, right?
2008, yeah.
Perry just mentioned something. Rick Rubin owns Shangri-La Studios now in Malibu. That was the studio of the band. That was their studio when their last album they did.
Didn't that burn down?
I heard maybe it did. I mean,
there was a documentary, and then there was during the documentary, there was a fire. There was out of the fucking forest fires or whatever they call them.
The wildfires, yeah,
in California, yeah.
Maybe they were built there.
Not the whole thing. Maybe part of it did. I don't know, but I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I was talking to my son about Rick Rubin yesterday too, and he goes,
Genius.
"Yeah, we were talking about how much he's produced, the artists he's produced. I mean, every genre." Every
He had
genre.
yeah.
I thought he was older than 60.
No, remember, he was just a kid in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
80s.
yeah.
He was in college. He was 19 years old when he
Wow.
was on the Beastie Boys.
Right, right.
You know, and him and what's his name? Russell Simmons started Def Jam out of their college dormitory.
They did. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they started Def Jam out of their college dormitory room. So they were like 19, 20 years old. Oh, he lost his house, but the studio survived, Perry said. Yeah,
so,
that's what it
so
was.
Perry's saying Mr. Ed, that studio, that ranch that they bought, the original barn was where Mr. Ed lived. Talking horse.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's pretty cool. I forget the name of the documentary, but it's pretty good, man.
Oh, neat.
Pretty good. So what was the album?
So you mentioned the Jessica Lee Mayfield. So mine is it's a Bob Dylan record, and I think for most fans, it's not as the one they think of. It's Nashville Skyline. I love that. I love that record. It's a half hour long. It's Dylan not singing. Dylan not singing like people expect Dylan to sing. It was a different voice he used. It's country, but I think the songwriting is great, and I like the fact it's really simple, really pure. It's it's the post Dylan's crazy period. That's a transition between the Dylan of the early to mid 60s when he went electric and he was Judas. They were yelling Judas at him and booing him.
Yeah.
To him settling in Woodstock, chilling out, doing a very laid back record. He's got the duet with Johnny Cash on it, "Girl from the North Country." They did it on the Johnny Cash show.
Okay.
But Charlie Daniels, the session players are pretty cool. Charlie Daniels is on it, playing bass and I think some slide. It's got "Lay Lady Lay" is probably the most well-known song on it.
Yeah, that was that different voice. That always confused me.
Yeah. It's like, well, why does he sound like that all the time?
I don't know what happened.
The reason why I think it was a put-on voice. I think he deliberately tried to do like sing like a country singer. But he said at the time, he goes, "I quit smoking." And his quote goes, "If you quit smoking," he goes, "you'll sing like Caruso." But if you listen to the records after that, he's back to the old Dylan, But so I do think that was a character he was playing.
Okay.
But I think I think it was a great character. I think the songs, they're very short. There's some pretty tender.
"Knocking on Heaven's Door," same voice.
That's in the same period. That's not on that album.
It's
but
not an album.
But you're right, Scott. It's the same voice.
Yeah.
It's a deeper, plummier tone to it. I like it.
It's cleaner.
Yeah, definitely.
My next album's from 1990. I heard this album when I was in the alcohol rehab center at Travis Air Force Base in Northern California.
You bad boy.
Yeah, I was in the alcohol rehab, the ARC they called it. They sent me there for like 3-week inpatient fucking. Air Force was not fucking right. It did. It worked. I haven't drank for 32 years.
Good. Yeah. That's a good thing, man.
But while I was in there, there was this other dude who was into music, and he's the one that turned me on to this album. Came out October 1990. I went into rehab November, right the day after Thanksgiving.
That's a Thanksgiving.
Yeah. They at least let me have Thanksgiving.
That's a perfect. That
was my last drink ever.
There's a certain drunk called Thanksgiving drunk.
Yeah. It's a whole Thanksgiving. The eve of Thanksgiving drunk is a whole different type of drunk.
That's right. That's
right. That's a different kind of drunk. There was a little more than drinking going on in the 80s. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So I was in the alcohol rehab center at Travis Air Force Base, and this dude. So I was in November 1990. Right at the end of November. This album came out a month earlier, and this dude had it. It turns on it's the Pet Shop Boys' "Behavior."
Oh, okay.
Was nominated for a Grammy. They still get totally disrespected by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Not taken seriously, yeah.
No, this band they're still going. They've been around for 43 years. 43 years. Yeah. They've been putting out music.
Was that a partnership? Wasn't there two guys?
Yeah, it's Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe.
Neil Tennant, that's right. Yeah.
I saw them at the Fillmore East, the Jackie Gleason Theater in Miami. My wife and I, and they were just so good. They were so good, man. I mean, just they still Neil Tennant still sounds the same 43 years later.
Oh, cool.
Nothing's changed. He's
not straining for notes.
No. No.
Kind of, or lowering the keys to the basement, you know. So
Yeah,
sing it,
no.
you know?
He can still sing all the
That's
songs at the same. Oh shit! Hold on. I'm gonna finish my segment here.
What's going on?
Yeah, he's giving me the finger. I'll tell you. Yeah, that album, is a great album. It's I can't say it's the, to me it's my favorite Pet Shop Boys album, but there's a couple that are close.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great album, great songs, great lyrics, great writing, the stories, and that's another thing when they start talking, when he starts singing, he's telling you these stories, and you could be right there, like what he's talking about. It's just Neil Tennant is very talented, but to be around for 43 years, put out all the music, sell fucking millions and millions of albums, be probably the best synth pop duo in the world, the second best duo ever behind Hall & Oates. And I said this 1,000 times, and they don't even get a fucking look from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 43 years they've been around. Hit after hit after hit after hit. But no, they don't get looked at. And with that, here we go. Well. Mark Smith shows up at an hour 55.
John come lately.
I'm here for Caesar Calicchio.
Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar.
Et tu.
Do it, Lou. Uh-oh. This could be the fast. Where's he? All right, he's keeping him on. Oh,
I was prepared for my FDR. Some hate me, but I welcome their hate.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
What's up, Mark?
How you doing? I'm just going to step in and do my favorite album.
Yeah, bring it on. And then get the fuck off.
Yeah. It's Lou's show. I know.
No mother jokes, please.
Yeah.
Oh, we already went through that. Yeah.
God.
What do you got, Mark?
Zebra, their debut.
Oh, of course.
Of
course.
Perry would disagree with me wildly, but every song on that album is just a classic. And if you haven't listened to it, listen to it.
What is Perry's dispute with that?
Take your fingers from my hair. He says that might be the stupidest lyrics he ever heard. He's right.
Yes, he did. He did say that.
And he's right. He's not wrong, but it's still a great song.
All right. Zebra, debut album.
And it was the fastest selling debut album in Atlantic Records history.
Yep.
There you go. So what does that say, right?
Yeah.
Can't be bad.
They filled the Led Zeppelin void.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want. Yep.
Hey, next week's show is going to be weekend late night music shows.
I heard that.
And some performances that might stand out for you.
Fridays.
Mark was kind of young during that period, though.
I was a baby. I was but a baby.
You can just listen.
Well, listen, Mark, you can stay on and listen to me and Lou do the show. Or you can go back
I'm
and
not
drink
going to talk. I'm going to
your armadillo tail wine.
Shut up.
Are there armadillos in Australia? I guess so.
I'm sure there is.
They're in North Carolina now.
They're down in Florida. They're down here in South Florida.
Yeah. Lots of armadillo road pizza on the road.
Hey, Mark, I'm just going to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Right? Get off my show. I got him. That motherfucker, I got him. After all those Jack comments, after all those Jack this, Jack that. He thinks I forget.
Right. No, obviously
he thinks I forget.
He's in limbo right now.
Yeah, limbo giving me the British fuck you symbol. Say goodnight, Mark. Do you want to stay on? I'm only kidding. Do you want to stay on?
I'll stay on. It's okay.
Okay. All right, good. I thought you just wanted to come off of one quick show. So, Lou, give me, did you give me the album?
No.
No, I was talking about me and Rehab. Me and the alcohol Rehab.
And I'm drinking wine.
That was one of the albums that was one of the CDs, dude, that I just, it's the whole 3 weeks kind of carried me through it.
Yeah, man.
Really did.
Cool.
Yeah.
That in itself is a great story by itself.
Yeah. A success story.
You're not gonna forget that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mine
Patty says hi, Mark.
Oh.
Hi, Patty.
There you go.
Patty's on LinkedIn, isn't she?
Oh, here we go. Anyways, I thought you were off
sorry.
that.
I'm off LinkedIn. I'm sorry.
Okay.
REM Murmur. I can't help it. It's a force of habit.
REM
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, Lou?
I didn't realize I went like that. No,
Oh, come on, Lou. Come on.
What did I? It was subconscious, I guess.
So for the podcast listeners, Mark just gave the jerk off sign and asked Lou, why'd you do that, Lou? Why'd you do that?
I didn't realize I did it. Was it left-handed or right-handed?
Anyway.
I don't know.
This was going so good.
My fault.
For the first 20 minutes. Until
I blamed you right at the beginning of the show, by the way.
Here we go, Mark.
Listen. Oh, he just gave it a thumbs down. Sorry. Hail Caesar. Penalty box. He's just got the penalty. Look at this. He hasn't been on fucking 4 minutes. And he's already been put in twice.
Yeah, really.
I'll bring him back out. Listen to the intro of the show, Mark. You get blamed. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. So what was the album? It was
the album was Murmur by REM. Their first full-length album.
Okay.
It's a great album, beginning to end. It's moody. It's got a certain sound to it. And another thing, that was just one of those transforming albums where like you heard a band, you could say, you could relate to it. It was mysterious, but it was very accessible in some way. It was very simple, but recorded really nicely. And I just think from beginning to end, I love every song on it. And I listen to it once a year, and it does put me in a mood. Sometimes it's a weird, it's almost nostalgic and almost a melancholy thing, but not too melancholy. But I just think that was a band that showed so much promise with that record.
Yeah.
And they definitely lived each album. They had the perfect career. Each album did slightly better than the next one. So they didn't have this right off the starting gate. They had a #1 album and smash, and they fucked up trying to follow that up. And the record industry machinations and bullshit they can get into. So they had the perfectly nurtured career
until the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, their last thing. I mean,
they tried to stay relevant.
Their last record, I think, is very good considering they've been around for a long time. But them carrying on without Bill Berry, it was never the same. Without, So after
Chemistry,
after Monster and New Adventures in Hi-Fi, which in retrospect is a great record. That's the last record with Bill Berry on it, and Michael Stipe says that's his favorite REM record. New Adventures. And when I first heard it, I didn't like most of it, but and second repeated listenings, I'm like, great album. But they were kind of hit and miss after that, but they did go out on a good record.
Yeah,
their last 2 records are very good.
2 records are great.
Yeah, Accelerator, and I forgot the name of the last record.
Yeah, Accelerator was a fantastic. Anyone who could put Ludacris or what was that lyric? Odiffian or something?
I forgot.
Great lyrics.
Yeah. But the drummer they had, Bill Rieflin, the late great Bill Rieflin, he was a drummer in Ministry, bunch of other stuff. But they really had a guy. I mean, technically a better drummer than Bill Berry, but I think they managed to recapture a lot of that early magic in the latter records. But at that point, they did the thing. They were a band like people think if you're not #1 in America, you're nowhere. But after their initial American heyday, they were a big international. Their albums still sold millions.
Still do.
Yeah, still do, just not in the home country.
No.
But yeah, I do think they set a good example of what a good band could be. They said they couldn't help but play pretty. They weren't when they rocked, they didn't rock super hard, but for Monster it's not the record we're talking about, but they made a rock and roll record because Bill Berry said if they don't make a rock record, he's going to quit the band, which I like that. Saying, he liked it. The records before that, Automatic for the People. That's Mark. That's your favorite REM record, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's mine. But you know what, Lou? I agree with you on New Adventures and Hi-Fi. I just totally ignored that album because I was not into REM in the 90s. I was kind of like out of music. I took a pass on music because I was in audio mastering in the 90s. So when your job is music, you kind of like, I don't know.
Sure.
And then my son, a couple of years ago, he gave me the vinyl version of it. And I listened. I'm like, how did I just miss this album? It's fantastic.
I didn't get most of it when it first came out. I said, nah. There's a song called Binky the Doormat.
Yeah,
on it. If you ever seen the movie Shakes the Clown with Bobcat Goldthwait, it's a reference.
Yeah,
classic movie.
It's a Citizen Kane of alcoholic clown movies.
Oh yeah.
It's dark as fuck. It's got some great cameos in it though, but it's the kind of movie all right. Wasn't expecting that, but yeah. But Murmur, I think that gets a lot of best of number as far as debut albums. That's always up there with great. I mean, it's a great debut album, but I think overall it's a great album, great songwriting and playing, very unique. And definitely started a little. They started something for a lot of other bands, me and Perry included. We were very influenced by them. We
Right.
say, if I can sing like that, I can play like that. So if I can do that, I could, make that kind of some music similar. Where, you didn't have to be, Steve Vai or an Eddie Van Halen, but they're good musicians though. But yeah,
I
Right.
heard that on our radio show this week. Your songs are very original, but I could hear that you were influenced by some
well,
of that
hell
stuff.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
all the same, about the same age, and
Yeah.
just having similar musical taste. But like I said, saying something where like, well, people used to say earlier on, they're like, "You guys sound like REM," But just when you hear that, you're like, no, we don't. But
No, you're not copying. You were never copying
we
REM.
have one copied song.
channeled
Right? That's not going to make the radio show. It's what I call it. That's my cringe song. I don't want anyone to hear it. And if Perry, you're listening, if you play that, this is it. We're in trouble.
This is it.
No. I'm not doing it. I'm good.
No. All right. My friend, my buddy, my brother Phil Kelly sent me a list from his friend Mikey D. His favorite albums. This is a pretty eclectic list. I like it. Allman Brothers Eat a Peach. This next one is if you know, you know. Cypress Hill Black Sunday. That's a good one. The Black Crowes, the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers.
Yes.
And then Mikey D jumps to the DOC, No One Can Do It Better. That's if you know, you know, right? You have to know hip hop to understand this. Fucking great. DOC, very underrated, short career, car accident, cut his vocal cords, never sang again.
Damn.
But Dr. Dre kept him around as a producer, so he still, he was his friend and he was loyal to him. Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever. ZZ Top, Tres Hombres.
Yes.
Leonard Skinner, pronounced Leonard Skinner.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
And Naughty by Nature, and Beastie Boys, Check Your Head. Yeah, it's a good list.
Good list.
Yeah. Let me see. We're at 2 hours. Let's kind of wrap this up. I'm gonna name off the rest of mine, Lou. Then you name off the rest of yours, and I'll jump into the rest of this. I'm gonna go with the Water Boys. This is the Sea, 1985, produced by Mike Scott, who is the leader of the Water Boys, and Carl Wallinger,
Right.
who went on to
World Party.
That's right. That was he was with them from I think 83 to 85. And that's when they kind of had their best stuff. So he's one of those key elements to the Water Boys. But the Water Boys have some really good albums. Hole of the Moon, of course, was that big hit from that album. Get Your Wings, Aerosmith, 74. And Candy O from 79, produced by Roy Thomas Baker.
Yep.
Their best album.
That's
best
the best
album.
album. Yes, I believe so.
That's
The
some great
first
songs,
album
man. Great
is a
songs.
classic. Great. You can't really say anything bad about the first album, but I thought Candy O, as I like Van Halen 2, but I like Van Halen 1, and I've said this 100 times in the show. I seem to like second albums better than first albums.
It's not about the songs, it's about the flow. And
The
Candy
flow,
O
the production, and Candy O is a whole different sound from their first album.
It's a little less popular.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the second album slump. The sophomore slump. A lot of bands get that.
Yeah.
So they didn't have it.
Let me see. His friend said something. Somebody had Phil Kelly sent me this today, and it was evidently in a thread online. It said the cars were so unique, so toe tapping, so just right for the time period, and even today, when they first came out, like millions knew. I as well said the band is going to make it. And the rest is history. Rest in peace, Rick and Ben. And this dude responded, one of those albums, Candy O, one of those albums like Abbey Road that you listen to beginning to end and all the songs connect together perfectly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting comparison. I've never heard.
Yeah, because they do. They
in the same
flow
breath.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, give me the rest of your albums, Luke.
Okay. Let's see. REM Document. Another 2 REM albums on one of my favorite lists. I just like the sound of it. It was good to hear that band get a bigger production. The songs are kind of quirky, and if you listen to it again, the one I love was their first top 5 hit. That's huge for them.
Yeah.
But some of the other songs like Oddfellows Local, King of Birds, it wasn't a hit album. It was a loud, cranky album, but it was loud. It sounded like a live recording, and that was just it was an exciting time to see them. This is an old classic on everybody's list, but it was very influential. Pet Sounds.
Yeah.
I like
what
to
can
produce.
you say about it that hasn't already been said?
Exactly. I like to produce music, and when I hear things, the song that your intro song that I mean, I say that humbly, like that helped me layer things, like hear like all this percussion sounds.
Oh, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, right? Why not? But it's a contentious thing. But I mean, I'd like to say that I took a little inspiration from that and said, what can I add to this thing to make it melodious and percussive and stuff? So, but obviously there was a huge influence on everybody in music,
Right.
But worth mentioning. Born and Run by Bruce Springsteen, that will always be one of my favorite all-time classic rock albums.
All right.
I listen to that once a year, and it's got a very, I'm a hometown boy, so how can I not? But I also think it was Bruce's, it's a success record because he was on the ropes. It's a torturous album he made. Jungle Land, you mentioned. I mean, come on. Yeah, great song. 10th Avenue Freeze Up. And I love every song on it. Meeting Across the River. Sure, this sophisticated song.
Perfect album.
Yeah. And so my last one is it's a Beatle album, Revolver by the Beatles. It's one of those. It's a diamond of a record.
Yeah.
Not a bad song on it. It's perfect. The playing is great. It's on a lot of people's list, but not being like an album guy. That's one. I think it's just definitely something I can't go wrong. Every time I hear any song from that, I'll just listen to it.
Mark, give me 3 albums.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go. Scott, you talked about an album that you had when you were in rehab and it lived with you, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had a terrible accident and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and Achtung Baby was given to me. It just came out, and I lived with that for 2 months in the hospital. So that is up there.
Not bad.
That's every song on that album to me is just great.
Did they make you eat a lot of Jell-O in the hospital?
Yeah.
I fucking hate Jell-O.
It was,
if you ever spent time at
Lou, it was Pascack Valley Hospital.
And you lived.
I lived, yeah. And that's where I was born. That's why they let me live.
They didn't sew cockroaches up anywhere if you had surgery.
All right.
I hate Jell-O.
Give me an album.
Put fruit in Jell-O makes it worse.
I'm gonna go with I gotta pick ELP. The obvious brain salad surgery.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one of them better be in there.
that was today's our text feed screw up.
I thought you guys were gonna do ELP.
I did that on purpose. I forgot to say it was a joke. I forgot to tell Lou it was a joke.
I had no idea. I said we should do it to spite you.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. All right, give me one more.
I'm gonna go with a jazz album.
Ooh,
Pat Metheny Group, Letter from Home. If you are ever driving and you have to go for a long trip over an hour, play Letter from Home. That album is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. It'll just flow. Every song on that album flows. And Lou, I've told you to listen to it many times. Yeah. The great Paul Wertico on drums, where he doesn't hit the bass drum. He mostly plays on the hi-hat. And just great. Just great.
A lot of jazz like that, yeah.
Yeah, and my gnome says, if you don't like it, fuck you.
Okay. So it's Pat Metheny. What's the name of the album again?
Letter from Home. Definitely.
You said it's a driving record. Is it like your Spotify driving list?
Oh yeah. Well, I would just put the whole album. I can't pick one song off it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it. Top 10 songs this week in 1989. Number 10. 89. Where Are You Now by Jimmy Harnan and Sync, whoever the fuck that was.
Uh-huh.
Number 9 this week in 1989. Close My Eyes Forever by...
I close my eyes for... Oh, shit. Who is that?
It's got the Schmitties. Come on.
Schmitties. I know the song.
Schmitties. I don't got time for this. Lita Ford with Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
You know the song. You heard it.
Yeah.
Number 8. Talk about a fucking comeback on this one. Soldier of Love by Donny Osmond.
Oh, wow.
I remember this whole Donny Osmond thing. He had a fucking top 10 hit in 89. Yeah.
Perry says that Donny Osmond would have had a hit with a Tears for Fears song. Was it Head Over Heels? He thinks Donny Osmond should have covered that.
Okay.
I think it was Head Over Heels.
You know what? He might. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. Soldier of Love was produced by who? It's big.
I don't know.
Peter Gabriel.
Wow.
Peter Gabriel produced a fucking Donny Osmond.
Wow. Maybe that's what pushed it over the edge.
So. Yeah. Got him some street cred.
Yes. Number 7 this week in 89, Satisfied by Richard Marx. Number 6 this week in 89, Patience by Guns N' Roses.
Just a
Yeah.
little patient.
Yeah. Number 5 this week in 1989, Buffalo Stance by Nina Cherry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good song.
Yeah.
Number 4 this week in 1989, Rock On by Michael Damian. Bad remake.
Of the David Essex song?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Number 3 this week in 1989, Every Little Step by Bobby Brown. Number 2 this week in 1989, I'll Be Loving You Forever by New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
And number 1 this week in 1989, fucking Gag Me with the Spoon. Wind
No.
Beneath My Wings by the fucking bitch Beth Midler. I don't care what you say about that.
I love her as a person, but the song.
Now, to me, there's a part where she goes, to me, it sounds off key. It's like Cats in a Bag. I don't know what that is.
Blue, you're the wind beneath my wings.
Anyways, top 10
You're
albums
the
this
wind
week in
beneath my wing, Mark.
1989. Stop kissing up to fucking Caesar.
Random through Caesar, that which belongs to Caesar.
I'm gonna put my baby pictures up here for Lou.
Oh,
Loves
Jesus.
It's little Schmitty.
Top 10 albums this week in 1989. Number 10, Sonic Temple by The Cult. Great album.
Yeah.
Number 9 this week on the top 10 albums chart in 89, Big Daddy by John Cougar Mellencamp. Number 8 this week, the top 10 album chart in 89, Hangin' Tough, New Kids on the Block. Number 7 this week on the top 10 album charts in 89, Full Moon Fever, Tom Petty.
Wow.
Yeah, number 6 this week, the top 10 album charts in 89, Forever Your Girl, Paula Abdul.
Good song, a good album.
Number 5 this week, the top 10 album charts in 1989, GNR Lies by Guns N' Roses. Good half an album.
Yeah.
Good half an album, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what carried that whole album.
Yeah.
I think the live shit was just throwing to fill the fucking album up.
Yeah.
Should have been an
Time
EP.
Yeah, should have been. That's right. Number 4 this week in the top 10 album charts in 1989, Don't Be Cruel, Bobby Brown. Number 3 this week. Now, this is strange that this album is number 3 in the country, but there's not a song in the top 10 this week. Like a Prayer by Madonna. You would think that she would have a hit and that she would be in the top 10 if she has a top 3 album, right?
Right.
Number 2 this week in 1989, The Beaches soundtrack. That's fucking Bette Midler.
Bette Midler, yeah.
And number 1 this week in the top 10 album charts in 1989, The Raw and the Cooked by
Nina Cherry.
Fine Young Cannibals.
FYC.
I said
She drives me crazy.
I was thinking of Raw Like Sushi. I'm sorry.
Time for This Day in Music, June 14th, 2019. Britney Spears was granted a permanent restraining order against her former manager, Sam Lufty, who looked after her career from 2007 to 2008. A judge granted a 5-year order forbidding Lufty from contacting Spears and her relatives and from making disparaging comments about them online. The singer's father, Jamie Spears, told the court that Lufty had been a predator, talking about a predator, on his family for over 10 years, and he was worried about his potential influence. Then he takes over and fucking keeps all their money.
As a conservatory.
On this day in 2012, Ringo Starr's birthplace in Liverpool was saved from a threat of demolition. On this day in 2007, Bob Dylan won Spain's Prince of Austria's Arts Award. I don't care. On this day in 2002, during a UK visit, Michael Jackson made a tour of Parliament and was shown the monarch's throne in the House of Lords. Whenever Jackson went outside, he called for an umbrella to shield his face from the sun. Umbrella, umbrella.
Umbrella.
Jermaine, stop teasing.
On this day in 2002, Mick Jagger became a Sir when he was knighted in the Queen's birthday honors.
Sir Lips.
It was claimed that the Queen avoided personally giving Jagger his knighthood because she thought he was an inappropriate candidate for the honor.
Ooh, wow.
So you didn't really get the full treatment, but okay.
I would have accepted it.
Let's see. On this day in 2000, Noel Gallagher from Oasis was voted into first place in Melody Maker's annual Uncoolest people in rock survey.
Oh, fuck him. He's a Manchester City fan. Fuck him.
Marilyn Manson came in second, and Robbie Williams was voted third. Uncoolest people in rock.
He's cool.
Let's see. On this day in 1995, Irish guitarist Rory Gallagher died after a chest infection set following a liver transplant.
Everyone thought he died of alcohol. It wasn't alcohol.
It wasn't, really.
Yeah.
Voted Melody Maker's top musician of the year in 1972.
Great guitarist. He died of the consumption.
He auditioned for the Rolling Stones following the departure of Mick Taylor.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see. On this day in 1994, it was a sad day. Composer Henry Mancini died at the age of 70. Yeah. Let's see. It was another sad day on this day in 1989 when Pete DeFreitas, drummer with Echo and the Bunnymen, was killed at the age of 27 when his motorbike collided with a car.
Oof.
Yeah, that's not a good way to go.
Kind of like Barry Oakley.
Yeah. On this day in 1987, Madonna played the first date of her Who's That Girl tour at the Osaka Stadium in Osaka, Japan. The tour became the highest grossing tour ever, grossing over 20 million. I think it's probably been beat by now. I don't know. But
Yeah.
because of ticket prices. Let's see. On this day in 1987, 30 hired hands moved 800 rented NHS beds onto Sawton Sands in North Devon for Storm Thorgerson to shoot what would become the cover of the forthcoming Pink Floyd album.
Momentary lapse of reason.
Very good. Rain interrupted the shoot, and the team were forced to repeat the exercise 2 weeks later.
Oh, oops.
On this day in 1986, the overrated Bob Geldof was named HRH
Very overrated.
on the birthday
God,
on his
come
list.
on.
Overrated.
Terribly
Overrated.
His
Overrated.
autobiography is great.
Overrated.
I hate that Monday song.
Well, I mean, you get sick of it after a while.
Fuck you guys.
It was a sad day and night. Look at, he comes on the show late and says
double.
fuck you to us like how many times now? Let's see. It was a sad day on this day in 1986. 3 fans died during an Odyssey Osbourne gig at Long Beach Arena, California, after falling from a balcony. I remember that.
Yee.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Ozzy didn't know, did he?
Let's see. On this day in 1984, a model of Boy George from Culture Club was unveiled at Madame Tussauds Waxworks in London, England, on his 23rd birthday. So you know what's coming up in birthdays. On this day in 1980, Billy Joel started a 6-week run at number 1 on the U.S. albums chart with Glass Houses. Yeah. It's not a big Billy Joel fan. I like him. I don't love him. I mean, I'm just,
Couple things.
Let's see. On this day in 1977, Led Zeppelin played the last of 6 sold-out nights at Madison Square Garden in New York City during their 11th and final North American tour.
Wow.
77. The 3-hour set included 3 hours. The song remains the same. Since I've Been Loving You, No Quarter, 10 Years Gone, Stairway to Heaven, Whole Lot of Love, Rock and Roll, and When the Levee Breaks.
Oh, I
3
got
hour
bootlegs.
Zeppelin
I got
show.
bootlegs from that tour. They were on fire.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
On this day in 1974, Ray Stevens was at number 1 on the UK singles chart with
The Streak.
yes, they called it The Streak. Yeah, a song
Don't look,
about the
Ethel, don't
latest
look.
British craze of streaking. I think that was American too.
Yeah, I think so.
Do any of us want to demonstrate what the streak is?
So
On this day in
I
1967,
have a question. Like, did we fuck up the streak like we do like the British television shows? Did they do it better than us?
I don't know if you can fuck up a streak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to see an Irishman do a streak.
Anyways, on this day in 1967, the Doors appeared at Steve Paul's scene in New York City. Jimi Hendrix was in the audience.
Wow.
On this day in 1964, the Manish Boys, featuring David Bowie, auditioned for the UK television talent show Opportunity Knocks.
Wow.
It was a crazy day on this day in 1964. Touring Australia, the Beatles arrived at Melbourne and were greeted at the airport by over 5,000 fans. Another 20,000 fans lined the route from the airport to the hotel. Army and Navy units were brought in to help control the crowds. Cars were crushed. Hundreds of girls fainted, and over 50 people were admitted to the hospital with broken bones. Yikes!
Wow.
What the fuck?
Beatlemania.
Fucking crazy 60s people. And finally, on this day in 1961, Patsy Cline was seriously injured in a car accident. During her 2-month hospital stay, Her song, I Fall to Pieces, gave the singer her first country #1, also became a huge country pop crossover hit.
I got to ask, was she driving? Oh,
Oh.
because she did have a reputation.
Ah, okay.
Did she eat Jell-O in the hospital?
I did.
Born on this day in 1983, Siobhan Donahue, English singer-songwriter, Siobhan, Siobhan. They're fucking crazy Irish names.
Shillelagh.
Yeah. Donahue with British girl group Sugar Babes, who had the 2002 UK #1 single Round Round. In 2006, British hit singles and albums named the Sugar Babes the most successful female act of the 21st century, with 6 UK #1 singles and 18 UK top 10 hits.
All right.
Jesus.
You know, Scott, you're Irish and you had to have an Italian guy read a name to you. That's fucking sad.
You know what's sad? You're in the penalty. That's what's sad.
Truly
It's sad. You want to be sad?
Tragically sad.
This could be a double minor. Give him a double minor for that one as he pounds down that last
He's got
glass.
at least 4 per show, isn't he?
Jesus Christ. He's definitely, yeah.
Is that in his contract?
He's like the Dave Schultz of fucking the Terry O'Reilly of fucking Milk Crates and Turntables. He spends most of his time in the penalty box. All right. Born on this day in 1963, Chris DeGarmo.
Queensryche.
There you go.
Wow, good.
Yeah, there you go.
What did he play?
And he quit mysteriously, and they have not been the same since. Jeff Tate could leave, and they could
What did he
replace
play?
him. Guitar.
There you go.
And he was a major songwriting influence on the band.
Born on this day in 1961, Boy George. Born on this day in 1960, English jazz and rock drummer, pianist, Gary Husband. Gary Husband.
Yeah.
Worked with many artists, including Jeff Beck, Level 42, Jack Bruce, Gary Moore, Jim Nail, John McLaughlin.
Wow.
Let's see. Born on this day in 1958, Nick Van Eed, singer with English rock band Cutting Crew with their one-hit wonder, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
That's
He
a
might have
wonder.
another hit after that. But born on this day in 1949, the late, great English drummer and songwriter.
Alan White.
There you go, Alan White, known for his tenure at progressive rock band Yes.
Yeah.
And in 69, he joined the Plastic Ono Band. What a mistake that was.
He was almost a fifth Beatle there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Instant Karma. He's.
Yeah.
I think he's the main drummer of the Imagine album. He's on a lot of that.
Born on this day in 1948, American guitarist and session player Steve Hunter, who had worked with Lou Reed, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper. Yep. He played the acoustic intro on Peter Gabriel's 1977 hit, Salisbury Hill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Born on this day in 1945, Rod Argent.
Hold your head up.
Yep. The
Yep.
Zombies.
Yep, and the Zombies. Very good. There you go. Born on this day in 1943, Spooner Oldham. American songwriter and session musician, organist, best known as part of the studio backing band known as the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section of Alabama.
He had a connection with Rolling Stones.
Yes, he did.
He played on many hits, including Percy Sledge's When a Man Loves a Woman, Aretha Franklin's Respect, Wilson Pickett's Mustang Sally, worked with Bob Dylan, Delaney Bryant, Willie DeVille, Joe Cocker, the Hacienda Brothers, Linda Ronstadt, Jackson Brown, the Everly Brothers, Dickie Betts, Cat Power, J.J. Cale, and many others.
Wow.
And finally, born on this day in 1931, American soul singer and multi-instrumentalist.
Multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, and I'm not even drinking.
That's like the band Guns and Rutabagas.
Gentlemen, that's the show. We did it under 2.5 hours. We got 2:28.
Barely.
We're at 2:28.
I'm sorry I crashed.
That's all right. Mark, thank you for coming on at the very end. We appreciate the effort. Lou, my friend, good show, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah.
Good show.
Lou.
Solid
Good
show. Solid show.
Mother jokes aside.
There you go. Patty Yossi says, great show, Scott, Lou, and Mark. Thanks for all the Q, all the great info. Lots of laughs.
Patty.
There you go.
Hey, thanks,
again, we'll be back next week. Well, no, you know what? Next week I'll be in Boston. I'll be in the motherland. So we're getting a week off. Yeah.
all right.
Getting a week off. But when we come back, we'll have plenty of info about the late night weekend music shows, concert shows, or any of it. Any and all of it. And let's see. I want to say to everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you like it, share it. If you don't, well, thanks for listening this long. And as I always say, you are the engine that runs this machine. Without you, it would just be me talking to Lou about music, and that's not a bad thing. With Mark coming in at the end and trying to
the closer
breaks the fucking rhythm.
I just want to get on the meeting minutes. That's all I want to do.
I was there.
I want to get in the meeting minutes. I can say I did the show. My streak is intact.
I get paid.
Yeah, the hot sauce is on this way.
Hot sauce.
There you go.
on eggs.
And as again, I always say, thank you. I'm all fucked up right now.
Oh fuck! Come on, Scott.
The tradition.
I was just thinking of something totally different. I don't know
Do
what
we
I
have
was
to
thinking.
carry? This is like when you had the storm and you open the door. And
Yeah,
That was
shit
weird.
went crazy. Yeah,
That was
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
To
Well,
quote Morrissey, to quote Morrissey. I have to do it.
doing the show for you. To quote my favorite artist, Marcy, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. We won't see you next week. We're going to take a week off. I'll be in the motherland taking care of business and eating good Italian and Chinese food.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks with a really good show. Hopefully Jack will be around and the four of us can just kick it around. Cool. But until then, thank you, everybody. Lou, my friend, Mark, thank you, my friend, for your knowledge, your time. It's always great doing shows with you guys.
Lou, you're awesome.
You're
There
awesome.
you go.
So good
I'll
to be
agree
here.
with that.